Hello everybody and welcome back to Odin's Movie Blog. I am the critic who is a cynic. How is everybody doing this evening? Dave Bob, YouTube must have repented and notified me early. Nice. Fantastic. Donald Huss says, gotta watch out for those drunk Asgardians on a Saturday night. What's up, Teresa Martin? How's it going? We got 10 people in already. Johnny5, why'd you say curse me, man? Tina says, yay! What's up, Tina? Johnny5, bend over, let Plinkett come over. Johnny5, are you drinking? Have you been drinking this evening, Johnny5? Johnny5 is alive. Have you been drinking? Teresa Martin, yes. Yes, I always love the flower. It always makes me happy. How's everybody doing? Welcome back to another open forum. So this is now open to any and all questions, not just about Star Wars or movies or television, but anything. So if you ever wanted to ask a political question or a theological question or anything like that, this is the night for it. Donald Hudson says, still, it's better than watching The Last Jedi. Oh, you're talking about just my starting screen? Yes, I would agree with that statement. Let's see. Johnny5 doesn't drink. I don't drink either. Good on you. Dave Bob is drinking. Soilo Ren is drinking. Awesome, man. Bring your drink of choice. Mine is water. A lot of people, it's coffee. Maker's Mark looks like an option too. Mex says, hey everyone, the Star Wars Dad is running a stream at the moment, so I'll be popping in and out between streams. Oh, I didn't know he was streaming. I did not know he was streaming. So yeah, definitely go support his stream out. Johnny5 says, I work to serve drunks at 12 a.m. puts you off drinking for life. Yeah, I understand that. I can totally understand that for sure. Just going through college and seeing what drinking did to people and how much it cost people was enough for me. NJE103 Egg, what is up, Egg? Working tonight, how is everybody? I'm doing fine, Egg. How are you doing, man? I'm always sad when you're working, but I'm glad that we can try and make your night a little bit brighter. Soilo is drinking Wild Turkey. Voorhees says, I am drinking as well. Very nice, very nice. Tina is drinking Yellowtail Merlot. Ooh, classy. Yes, the Valkyrie are classy up in here. They drink the nice Merlot wine. Yellowtail, nice. Very, very good. All right, yeah, so again, guys, today is open forum. We got 14 people on. Let's get 14 likes. Get this thing started off right. The reason why I was a little bit late was because we were dealing with a situation. Stephanie knows what I'm talking about. So basically, there was this troll on Twitter who was going after Sly Jones. My boy Sly Jones, who's one of my patrons, just made his first YouTube video ever. Go check out his channel. Go give him some love. Give him some views. Give him some support. Give him some advice too, because he is, again, this is his first video. I think everyone, even me at this point, we could always use some advice on how to make our channels better. But it's really great. And so make sure you check it out. But anyway, there was a troll on there who was essentially attacking him for his video, saying, oh, another person talking about this. And so we started to engage with him, and he just started to go off on his own, like, look how amazing I am, and, oh, well, Jeremy blocked me because, ooh, I was just too clever for Jeremy. And very quickly I realized, no, it's because you're annoying. It's because you are the most annoying person I've encountered recently, and so I can understand why someone would mute you. I'd be happy that he didn't block you. I blocked him because he made a very offensive comment towards one of my Valkyrie, Stephanie, who is in the chat right now, and I love Stephanie so much, dude. Stephanie, that guy was a total ass, and I really do hope that he understands just how stupid he sounds, and also just how much talking like that will never help him in life. So let's see. Dave Bob says drinking is fine in moderation. I agree. Again, I'm straight edge. I don't drink at all. But again, I don't have a problem with anyone that does drink. But I agree. Drinking in moderation, everything in moderation for the most part is pretty good. But drinking for me, I've never understood it, so I don't. Johnny Bob says I don't need to drink. I'm already eccentric due to my artistic character and Jesus. Very, very good. Yeah. So I'm the same. Like, I am already pretty comfortable in my own skin. I feel like if I was drinking or under the influence of alcohol or any drug, I wouldn't like who I am. I wouldn't like to encounter me in that way. So I just stay away from it personally. Tina says, hit that like button, please. Somebody says, thank you for the sweet defense. No problem, Stephanie. I mean, you were rocking it by yourself. I mean, I know you could take care of yourself. But when he said that, I was just like, no, that's not cool. Like, there was no respect for him that I had at any point, but anything that could have possibly turned into respect after that fact was gone when he made that comment, so it was disgusting. Johnny5 says, can you link his channel? Yes, so Valkyrie, can you link Sly Joe's channel, please? I'd appreciate it. Egg says, work is better than Work is better when I am not busy because I can do video games. Oh, okay, awesome. So what games do you play when you're at work? Let me know. He was a Jerkosaurus Rex, says Stephanie. You're right. He was a total Jerkosaurus Rex. It was ridiculous. Donald Hudson. What's up, Donald? Says, I got a small fan watching with me today. My daughter, Trinity, was so happy for the... Was so happy for the movie one. She wanted to watch and interact. Nice, Donald. That's awesome. Well, I'm glad that she enjoyed it. And yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, so again, guys, if you don't know, whenever I'm able to, I give prizes away. And Donald Hudson, I believe you're the one that got Mary Poppins, Donald. I think you're the one that got Mary Poppins. So I'm very glad that you and your family were able to enjoy that movie together. And that's what I try and do, because again, I feel like y'all give me so much, and I want to be able to give something back, you know, as much as I possibly can give back. So I'm glad that y'all both enjoyed it. And hello, Trinity, how are you? Welcome to the chat. Mechanical Warfare says, what's up, brother? How's Loki been pranking you lately? Loki was just driving me crazy on Twitter today. I'm assuming that's who it was, because whoever the real person behind it, if that was an actual person, if that was an actual human being saying those things, then it's a very scary time in our world. Voorhees says, Stephanie will always be here. That's clever, Voorhees. I appreciate that. What is Matrix says, what up, good people? What is up? What is the Matrix? Second live stream of the day. Soiler Ren says, smash the melee button, people. Yes. Let's see. Tina says, it's always nice to have the back of others. I mean, exactly. Like, I will always have 70s back. I'll always have anyone that follows me, or anyone that is just doing the right thing. I will always support that person. And so it's no problem at all. Waben22, Mr. Odin's live once again. Waben, you have joined us once again. It has to be so late where you are right now. Go to bed, man. Wesmation says, what's this, Brad? No, Brad Noble is a pet troll. There's a difference between a troll and a pet troll. Pet trolls can be nice sometimes. We appreciate their company, but we still recognize that they are still a troll nonetheless. But actual trolls, disgusting cave trolls, Twitter-dwelling cave trolls, not so nice. Not so nice at all. So unfortunately, it was not Brad. Brad, it would have been a very different situation. Yeah, don't put him and Brad in the same category, because it's an insult to Brad at that point, and to cave trolls everywhere. Johnny 5 says, Ant-Man is finally out in the UK. Curse the World Cup. Johnny 5, I'm so glad it's finally out. Go check it out. Let me know what you thought about it. I would love to hear your thoughts on it when you see it. What about Leia Poppins, says X-Winger. Oh, Leia Poppins. Oh, Leia Poppins. Yeah, not as good as Mary Poppins. Mary Poppins is a classic film. Leia Poppins is it's a cringeworthy part of a god-awful film. Dave Bob says, as long as it's not Leia Poppins. Donald Hudson says, Mary Poppins, y'all. I'm Mary Poppins, y'all. She says she's fine, and thanks. Awesome. Well, glad to hear that, Trinity. Egg says, Splatoon 2, the fractured butthole. Women22 says, believe me, Mr. Odin, it is, and I'm about to go to bed, but I saw your live, so I couldn't resist. Well, I'm glad that you're here, man. I'm glad that you're here. Repaired your lip? Repaired what? 70B, yes, so it's at 70B chatted Slide Jones YouTube channel, so please go check him out. Give him some love. Give him some support. I know that he will appreciate it. Johnny 5 says, they pushed aside us superhero movie fan geeks for the popular football. I know, right? It's like, the football, it was important. That's kind of interesting, though, that they would... I mean, I guess it's because they knew that people wouldn't go to see it, but I'm still interested that they wouldn't try and release it still for the people that didn't go to the World Cup, because I feel like a lot of people probably were still in the UK. Let's see. Chuck Graham says, Waven22. Okay, talking to someone else. Hyprin. What's up, Hyprin? What's going on? Hey, Odin, sorry I'm late. Traffic was a nightmare on Elm Street. Very, very cool. Very, very cool. Hey, no problem at all, Hyprin. Just glad to have you here, man. Wesmage says, sorry again, Brad. I know you without... yeah, Brad is a noble troll, for sure. Yeah, please go check out Slide Jones' channel. It's fantastic. It's so good. Mechanical Warfare says, Odin, your honest opinion. In the current state of television, Hollywood, and the interwebs, do you believe a new Happy Tree Friends would be well received without massive social media BS? Let's see. I've heard of Happy Tree Friends. Let me just make sure. I'm going to Google it real quick. Happy Tree Friends. Also, my dogs are outside, so I'm probably going to let them in at some point because I just don't want them to destroy the outside of the room. Happy Tree Friends. Is there a picture? Let's see. Okay. And it's still going on to this day. It's an animated series. cited as an example of achieving a cult following. The series is best known for its mixture of cute cartoon, anthropomorphic forest animals, and extreme graphic violence. Each episode revolves around the characters enduring accidental or deliberately inflicted events of bloodshed, pain, mutilation, dismemberment, evisceration, and or death. At one point, there was a warning given to the site, cartoon violence not recommended for small children or big babies. Well, that sounds amazing, but getting back to your question, in the current state of Hollywood, do I think it would be well received? No. Absolutely not. I think that if they were to release a show like that, and we've had this conversation too, especially about, very ballsy filmmakers like Mel Brooks. If they were to make the films or the shows like Happy Tree Friends in today's society, in today's world, they wouldn't be well received at all. Now, if it was on something like HBO, maybe. I mean, obviously, we look at Game of Thrones. Game of Thrones has a lot of sex, has a lot of violence, but obviously, it's not a cartoon. It's not something that could be confused for a kid's show. So I think that depending on the network, depending on how it was portrayed, it could go one way or the other. But definitely, we have a very, very sensitive culture today, and I definitely think a lot of people would have problems with it for sure. So that's my honest opinion. Again, if it was put on something like HBO or Stars or, a premium service, maybe even Netflix. Actually, you know what? It might even work on Netflix, to be honest. But even then, there are probably going to be some people that would go after it for sure. Probably would be some people going after it for sure. What does Major says? I will ignobly be Leia Poppins for Halloween. Oh my goodness. Yeah, please. Halloween, please do that. Because there are going to be people who are going to understand it. You know what? I should go as a hyperspace ram for Halloween. That is the scariest thing because nothing else in the history of Star Wars could ever and would ever break Star Wars completely. Hyperspace ram. That is the scariest thing ever. Dave Bob says, also remember, life is a B and then you die, so live it well. That's a very good point. Mr. Peabody, what's up, Mr. Peabody? How's it going? Hello, Odin, Tina, and Steph, he says. Johnny 5 says, who remembers the absolute insane hype back in 2005 when we got the first episode 3 trailer? Yeah, I mean, I was in high school. I was still in high school at the time. So I don't really remember exactly the hype around it because at that point, I didn't really pay a lot attention to the industry. I was just a high school kid enjoying being young and going to the theater every single weekend. So I remember that we were pretty excited for it and going to see it in theaters and everything. But yeah, I don't really remember a lot of the media hype around it. Somebody says, I used to work in a bar in college, grew a thick skin, no worries, y'all. Well, I'm glad. I did not know that about you, Stephanie. So yeah, you've probably heard worse things than that, but it does not excuse what he said for sure. So that's awesome, though. Like, that's why you rock, Stephanie. Let's see. Johnny 5 says, Emilia Clarke is the most perfect woman on earth. She's really great in the show. Alexander says, it's not the society. It's just a few dorks in Hollywood that want to censor everything. That's true. That's what I said. Like, there are some people out there that would, be okay with it, that would be fine with it. But I do think that there's definitely a contingency of Hollywood and also, of course, of just culture in general that would try and fight against it for sure. Wayne Drenning says, Mel Brooks' Blazing Saddles. Yeah, Blazing Saddles would not work in today's world at all. In fact, I've shown this on previous streams. So I'm a huge Mel Brooks fan. So actually, I have his entire collection, or at least the highlights of his collection. So this says, let's see, it has 12 Chairs, Blazing Saddles, Young Frankenstein, Silent Movie, High Anxiety, History of the World Part 1, To Be or Not to Be, Spaceballs, Robin Hood Men in Tights. Almost every single one of those films could not be made in today's world without some kind of controversy or backlash from Hollywood. I mean, just even Robin Hood Men in Tights, one of his more modern films, one could say, or at least his the closest one that we have, really. Many people would have problems with it because of some of the jokes that are in it. It's just ridiculous. Like, Hollywood is just it's so ridiculous. See, Waven says, yeah, she has a smile that can kill you. Dave Bob, yeah, Young Frankenstein, Spaceballs, Blazing Saddles, all classics, and all probably could not be made in today's world for sure. See, Hyman says, Odin, just a random question. What is your favorite movie year of all time? 2014, honestly, mine. That's a great question. I've never been asked that before. I've been asked favorite movies and genres, but never year. Let me think about that for a second. I would have to go through. This is something that I want to do at some point. I would love to go through Wikipedia's years in film, where it has every film that was released in a particular year. And I would have to go through it to see how many of my favorite films or really great films are listed? That's a good question. Actually, I do not have an answer for you. I do say, as far as decades go, 1980s and 90s, probably the best years in films, in my opinion. That's just me. Again, obviously, I do love 1940s and 50s classics. Obviously, some of my greatest favorite films of all time come from that time period, but there's something about the 80s and 90s. I don't know why. I mean, I guess it's because I was born in the 80s and lived through the 90s that I have an affinity towards those things. Patrick Shepard. What's up, Patrick? Top of the morning from Ireland. Almost 2 a.m. here. Oh, very nice to have you, Patrick. Hope my accent is not offending you. I'm actually Irish myself, so yeah. Great to have you here. I've been waiting for someone from Ireland to join the chats. Again, I appreciate everyone from around the world, but my heart goes out to Ireland because I've got a special place because I am 30%, yeah, 30% Irish. Waving22 says, by the way, I just want to give out a huge thank you to Odin for the prize I won earlier, and a huge thank you to all other people here in the chat. Yes, so for anyone that was watching earlier, Wavin won the prize at the very end. So if you don't know, if you've never watched my channel before, I give these things called digital cookies out during every live stream. And the way it works is that if you leave a funny comment, one that makes me laugh in just the right way, not every comment I laugh at, but one that hits me in the right way, or a really clever comment, I will give you what's called a digital cookie. You can also earn them by giving donations through Super Chat or through the Streamlabs link. You automatically get digital cookies for those donations, and also my infinite gratitude because it helps me grow the channel. It helps the channel in general, and also it helps me and allows me to do giveaways themselves. And so the way it works is that at the very end of every live stream, whoever has a digital cookie for that stream gets put into a random name selector, and then whatever name is picked gets a prize, and Blu-rays, digital copies of films, things like that. There's various options that you can have. But when it comes to Wavin22, I actually have your prize right here. So Wavin22 already has these specialized editions of Star Wars, and so he, even though he doesn't have a Blu-ray player, said that he wanted one of my Blu-rays for my collection, so he's getting this. He's getting my Blu-ray copy of Full Metal Jacket. Classic film, some of the greatest performances of all time, some of the craziest writing. It's also my favorite Kubrick film. Now, I know some people might say, oh, but 2001. I've actually never seen it. I own it. Don't worry. I own 2001. I've never seen it, and I've heard mixed things from people, but this film is bloody fantastic. I love it. I mean, you could suck a golf ball through a garden hose. There's just so many great lines in it. I love it. But yeah, anyway, I've got tons of Blu-rays that I can give away. I give away despecialized edition Blu-rays of Star Wars, and I also can give away digital copies, just like with Donald Hudson, I was able to give him a digital copy of Mary Poppins. So just something to think about. Again, you can either leave a funny comment or you can donate. Again, not only do you enter yourself in to win a prize, but also you help support the channel too. So I appreciate you nonetheless. And yeah, but Wavin, here you go, man. This is all yours. So I'm getting copies, or rather, I'm getting package slips tomorrow. Rather, like the bubble packets tomorrow. And so I'm gonna put that in, and then I'm gonna mail this out sometime on Monday. It should get to you within like 20 or 30 days since you live in Europe. But yeah, and also I do ship to overseas as well. So the furthest away at this point has been Australia. Mr. Peabody, I've already shipped his prize. Before he says, haven't read all of the exchanges between Rob SpaghettiOs and everyone else, but I almost wish it was a troll account by a fan within this community. Then maybe we could all have a good laugh. Me too. Like, based on the things that he said, especially that last comment towards the end, I really do wish that it was just someone being, a troll who's a part of this community who's going to say, oh, it's just a joke. I was just trying to, cause a stir. I'm so sorry if I offended anybody. Like, then it could be like, okay, well, haha, that's kind of silly, but you know what? It is what it is. But I really do think it's an actual person, which is kind of disturbing. Johnny Five says, cough, cough, YouTube. Mechanical Warfare. Odin choose 2000 or 2012 in movies? 2000. I would probably say 2000, personally. Tina says, that's almost as bad as Sheldon on Big Bang Theory going to a Halloween party as a photon symbol, I think it was. Johnny Five says, YouTube wants to silence us. What's YouTube doing right now? What's going on? What'd I miss? Donald Hudson says, hey, what do you call a sleeping Jurassic creature? A dino snore. Yes, Donald Hudson. Yes. Star Wars Dad is still here nonetheless. Yay, Mel Brooks, says Tina. Yep, absolutely. Mel Brooks is indeed fantastic. Dave Bob says, I kind of like Haley. Well, I like her too. I think she's very talented. I really do think, and also everyone's told me that Agent Carter was a very good show that was canceled way too soon. So I've always wanted to check it out. But yeah, I like Haley Atwell a lot. Tina says, Doppler effect. Johnny Five says, had anyone ever seen the Star Wars spoof Hardware Wars? It's hilarious. I don't think so. Link me to that. He says, Odin, why did you pronounce Halloween as Halloween? Just because it's fun that way. I know it's Halloween, but Halloween is just funnier to say. Waven says, that episode is pretty funny, so what's you supposed to be, a zebra? Johnny Five says, my answer is 2008. It's because of The Dark Knight, isn't it? Again, that's a great year because that's probably one of the greatest films ever made. But that's a really good year, I will say. What does Mitch says? Mel Brooks is awesome, and his movies expose silly prejudices as that. SJW stole that from us. I know, exactly. Like, what he did in Blazing Saddles alone was just hilarious. It was just so damn funny. And that just could not be made in today's society. And it's really sad because, I mean, if you can't... And this is the reason why, if you've never heard of this musical called... oh, my goodness. It's one of my all-time favorite musicals. Avenue Q. It's very similar where it just has that kind of subversive, but in the right way, kind of humor. And it's fantastic. There's a song called Everyone's a Little Bit Racist. And then when you actually read the lyrics, you're like, it's actually true. Like, why are we just all acting like we're all, you know, high and mighty and everything when all of us have some kind of prejudice within us in some way? Johnny Five says, I'm only young. 80s and 90s, X-Winger. Yes, absolutely. 80s and 90s were my favorite decades in films. Hybrid says, good point. Good point. 80s and 90s is OP2. Exactly. Like 80s had all of the really awesome action films that bled over a little bit into the 90s. And a lot of the 90s films just have a lot of nostalgia, at least for me. Mr. Peabody says, have to be changed to Robin Hood, people in inappropriate gym wear. It's a good point. Jeffrey Toon, glad you could join us, man. I'm sorry they missed the stream earlier. It was a very early stream. It was like 11:30 a.m. Central Standard Time, so I did not expect everyone to be able to join, but I'm glad that you could join us tonight. CWD, what's up? CWD says, enjoyed so many movies and series from the late 80s and 90s. I did as well. I mean, I couldn't list all of my favorite films from that time. C70B says, I love Halloween. I never got to celebrate as a child, so I go in. Oh, that's so sad that you never got to celebrate as a child. Yeah, it's fun. I will say I don't really celebrate it that much these days. I have not dressed up since I was, I think, in high school, and my wife hates that because she loves Halloween. She likes getting dressed up. I'm not that kind of person. Now that I have my own Chewbacca onesie, and now that I could, like, you know, film it and put it on YouTube for people who might actually really enjoy it, I might do something for this Halloween. But yeah, I appreciate that. Patrick Shepherd says, love it, Ireland for the win. Yes, indeed. Ireland is awesome. Women22 says, Ireland is awesome. Love those flat caps. Yeah, actually, I've got two. One is not from Ireland. I do have one that's actually like handmade wool, or rather however you describe it. But it's actually from Irish wool made in Ireland because my parents went there and they got me a flat cap, and I love it. It's great. But I do have this one as well. So I love flat caps too. How's that look? Do I look cool? Do I look Irish now? Hi, top of the morning to ya. Welcome to Odin's movie vlog. Let's get going. I'm going to wear this until someone says, take it off. Take that hat off right now. I hate it. Don Hudson says, offended so much by that accent. If there's any accent I love doing, it's Irish accents. But just because I am Irish, I love it. It's great. Let's see. Alexander says, how do you think the masses would actually react to Blazing Saddles today? Not talking about those whining harpies at Hollywood. I don't think... See, the reason why you can't ignore the harpies at Hollywood is because I don't think the film would have ever been made. Like, I just don't think it would have ever gotten through the process because it would have gotten so much backlash from people. And then, of course, you would have, like, the very small group of people in the real world, in society, who would have said, boycott, boycott, boycott. And I don't think the film would have ever been made. I'm just going to be honest. I don't think the film would have ever been made. And it's really sad. Let's see. Demogeny? Demogeny? Is that how you pronounce it? Demogeny? What's up, Demogeny? Welcome to the chat. Elric Kuyuga! If it's a digital cookie, I want digital milk or I will riot. Hey, no one's stopping you from getting that digital milk. I'm only going to supply the cookie. I cannot supply both cookie and milk. I don't have the digital resources to be able to do that, but I will give you your cookie. I will definitely give you your cookie. Waven says, fully agree with you, Tina. Okay, talking to someone else. 70B. Okay, so 70B posted. What time was that? I don't have. I'm actually looking at the live chat on my computer. So I know I'm behind. But I'm not. I don't have my phone because I like having both my hands free. It's very nice. It's very like freeing. Otherwise, I'm just holding my phone. It's a large phone. So anyway, but thank you, 70B. So she posted a link to my Streamlabs at one point. So if you don't want to give YouTube any money, but you want to donate to the channel, go through Streamlabs. It's all through PayPal. So PayPal does take a small cut for the transaction fee, but YouTube doesn't get any of it, and I end up more of it, which means more of it can go to the channel, which means I can provide more giveaways and more consistent giveaways as well. Because there's some streams where I can't justify doing giveaways. Demogeny, I'm doing fine. How are you doing, man? Mr. Barry says, Waven, great choice. Hyper says, okay, Odin, how about favorite movie quote of all time? Oh, dude, like, we got some good questions already. Favorite movie quote of all time. It really depends on the genre and also my mood. Like, sometimes my mood, I say several quotes on a daily basis, and so I'd probably say that at this moment, "You are tearing me apart, Lisa," is probably one of my favorite all-time quotes. But there are a lot of them. There's a lot of really great ones. I love that movie. Hey, Joker. Do you have a Short Circuit Blu-ray? Johnny 5, unfortunately, I do not. I wish I did, but I don't. I'm a DVD sucker, but I'm going to get myself a Blu-ray player now. I mean, yeah, and they're so cheap now, too. I mean, they're essentially giving them away at this point because now everything's about 4K and HDR and all this stuff. So you can probably find a really good Blu-ray player for pretty cheap. Let's see. Tina says, Full Metal Jacket is one of my top 20 favorite films. A lot of Vietnam vets I knew on the police department said it was way too realistic, especially the Paris Island scenes. Yeah, I've heard that too, and that's the reason why I really like it, because it was very true to what those guys went through, what those soldiers went through, and I think that it's just very, because obviously, like, I talk about that you could suck a garden through you suck a golf ball through a garden hose, everything. And so I understand that to a point, but I love it. It's so great. Nickel Noodles, oh my goodness, Nickel Noodles, thank you so much for the super chat. He says, never take that hat off. Well, thank you for the $3.50 donation, and for that I will keep it on at least for this stream. So I'm glad that at least I'm glad that Nickel Noodles likes it. Thank you so much. Ways the Major says, second stream of the day for me. It's like you're my Amish cousin from New Jersey. Okay, is that a good thing or a bad thing? Jefferson says, some TV shows are on way too long. I agree. That's why one of my all-time favorite series is actually Breaking Bad, because it's a series that you saw that there was an end that had to happen based on certain plot elements that are introduced very early on, and they lead it to its natural conclusion. And they do 5 great, solid seasons, and there's never a time when the show slumps. And so that's why I also like Game of Thrones, because some people might argue saying, oh, one season was better than another. But overall, I would say that it's remained pretty consistent. So that's why Game of Thrones, I think, is ending at the right time. Walking Dead has gone on for way too long. Like, Walking Dead was one that could have ended a long time ago, but has just kept going and going and going. And then, of course, you have shows like Westworld that are just starting that I hope only go for like 5-6 seasons max. Because even though I would love to see more content, there's no denial that as time goes on, usually the quality goes down as well. It's always good when there's actual, like, repercussions for actions too. All right. CWD says, speaking of Mary Poppins, the Space Leia would have been so funny if it were just a joke from Robot Chicken, similar to their joke of Force Ghost Jar Jar. That's correct. Yeah, I mean, if that was in Robot Chicken, that would have been fantastic. That would have been so funny. That would have been so great. But unfortunately, it is the reality of the situation. Let's see. Wayman says, Odin, no hurry for me. It usually takes 2 weeks. All right. All right. Sounds good, man. Let's see. Dave Bob says, my very forefathers, 1680s came. Hold on, it jumped. 1680s. Dun, 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 dun. All right, Ben. Someone caught the reference as to what hat this is. So I think I'm gonna give that person a digital cookie once I get down there. Oh my goodness, there's so many. All right, guys, so we're going to have to implement this now since we have a lot of comments. If you want me to read your comment, you need to have my name in the comments. So I'm sorry if I'm going to be skipping some people, but I'm going to be looking for my name in the comments, all right? Let's see. Voorhees says, "Oh, and I'm also Irish. I went to Ireland when I was 19, and it was absolutely amazing." Nice. That's so cool. Yeah, I got to go when I was 16. It was great. Dave Bob, thank you for the $1 donation. That is through the Streamlabs link. Put on a fedora, Indy, eat your heart out. If I had a fedora, I would put one on. But thank you, Dave Bob. I appreciate that. Yeah, if I had a fedora right now, I would. May the Schwartz be with you, says Dave Bob. Alexander says Agent Carter is boring. Okay. All right. I don't hear that very often. Tina says, I liked Agent Carter, but I'm glad it went off the air. Okay. It's good to know. It's good to know. Again, guys, if I skipped any of your comments, re-comment it with my name in it, and then I will know that you want me to read it. Demonjani says, we have to get 70B to do a YouTube video. I'm down for that. I know that she is not quite ready for that yet, but I've told her this from the very beginning. The day that she's ready to do it, she's going to have so much support from the online YouTube community, and I think she's going to be very successful. So I'm always here to help, Stephanie, if you ever want to try that. Waven22 says she tried to draw. Okay, that wasn't have my name in it. Where's my name? I'm just so used to reading them all. Sammy says we had fall festivals and we couldn't be scared. Oh, okay, I got you. Oh, that's sad. Mechanical Warfare says Bruce Campbell versus Robin Hood Men in Tights. Who wins? I'm a fan of Bruce Campbell. Also, just be Obi-Wan. You already have the beard. Obi-Wan or Obi-Wan? Because if I'm Obi-Wan, that might be problematic in today's society. I don't think I could play that role as a white man. No, to be fair, I actually do have Spanish blood within me. We actually found that out recently in my family. We have family from the Iberian Peninsula because we actually have Islanos in us, which means that we have family from the Canary Islands through my papa, who was Cajun. So yeah, it's actually, I'm technically Spanish, so maybe it's not as controversial after all, but who knows? I'm just a white man after all. But anyway, Bruce Campbell versus Robin Hood Men in Tights. If you mean just the actor Bruce Campbell versus Men in Tights, I'm going to choose Men in Tights because I love Men in Tights. But if you're going to put like Army of Darkness versus Men in Tights, I'm going to go Army of Darkness. So, because I love Army of Darkness. Tina likes the hat. Awesome. And I hear a lot of dude. Yes. Hyperin says, an unpopular opinion, Nightmare Before Christmas is my favorite Christmas Halloween movie ever. No, it's not. That's an unpopular opinion. I love that movie. I think a lot of people love that movie. If you don't like that movie, get out. Leave. End of You and Me. If you can name that song, you get a digital cookie. Get out right now. End of You and Me. Name of song and the singer. Cap looks great. Thank you so much, man. And then Keeger. So Keeger 1066. Odin Zane in the house. Yeah, so this is indeed. This is let me see if I got it. This is Sami Zayn's hat. So yes, I'm a huge wrestling fan. So this is the Sami Zayn flat cap. So you get a digital cookie for that spot, Kegger. Congratulations. All right, let's see. Waven says, awesome, Odin. I have a handmade in Ireland flat caps, too. They are truly awesome. They are. So this is from WWE, so I don't know what the heck this is made out of. I think it's mostly polyester, but I do have an actual Irish one, too. Keep the hat. Looks great. Thank you. Sorry, I just saw this one because I saw Daniel Day-Lewis. What is Major said, with that hat, you look like an actor. I'd hire you for Gangs of New York alongside Daniel Day-Lewis. That would be awesome. That would be fantastic. Waven says, you saw the photo of me with my new flat cap. Yeah, I did. It was awesome. It was so good. Alexander says, why do you think they are very small? We are way more than the SJWs, especially since there is no way of all of Hollywood is even SJW. But you see, the thing is that the people who are in power are SJW. That's the problem. I would say there are a lot of actors out there that are not. The problem, though, is that if they start to express themselves, if they start to share who they really are, what you end up finding is that they get fired or they can't find work because they get blacklisted because, unfortunately, the people who run the business, they are the ones who are the SJWs. So I think that's the reason why. Java, looking for my name. Nickel Noodles, thank you so much again for that super chat. And yes, I will keep the hat on for now. Hybrid says, why so serious? Yes, pretty damn good indeed. Demogeny says it's pronounced D-ma-gin-I. Demagini. Okay, Demagini. Demongenai. I will try my best to remember it. I usually remember pronunciations after I'm corrected, and I always want to pronounce everyone's name correctly. So Demongenai, thank you very much for that. Demongenai. Thank you, Nickel. It is a good look, I think. Alexander says, I don't really think the masses would give such a backlash to Blazing Saddles. It would only be blown out of proportion, and a bunch of Hollyweirds would talk. Exactly. So, but the problem is that the people you're talking about, the Hollyweirds, as you say, they're the ones who control whether a film gets greenlit or goes through production. So they'll make a big uproar, and guess what? Guess who's going to cover it? The media, who's also filled with SJWs, and then it's just going to become such a big thing that even though most Americans would probably enjoy it and not have a problem with it, or even most people around the world wouldn't have a problem with it, it would still be the people who control the levers of power who would. And so that's the reason why I say that I think it would have a problem getting made in today's society, not because of society itself, you know, being mostly SJW or anything, but because the people who are in charge of content creation in Hollywood and the media, the people who cover this stuff, they are the ones who are, you know, usually of the SJW mindset. And not liberal mindset, the SJW mindset. There is a clear difference between the two. Tina says, we were talking about Sons of Anarchy, and it stayed consistent as well. It ended when it needed to, which was great. I've heard a lot of great things about Sons of Anarchy, so that might be a show that I have to check out down the line. But I have definitely heard some good things about it, and I'm glad to hear that it also was able to, you know, to live up in that way. All right. La, da, 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 da. This is a crazy chat tonight. Laura, what's up, Laura? Ryan stole my fan fiction story. Saw Mission Impossible today. Can't wait for the first. That was my first Mission Impossible favorite movie quote was "Hello there." Yes, so watch the other ones too, but this one might be the best for sure. So I get very excited whenever Laura comes in. Spiral Out, what's up? Spiral Out says, "Hey Odin, how's it going? Have you watched Ozark on Netflix? I think it's an awesome series." No, I have not. Is that one that I should add to my list? Please let me know. Sell me on it. Laura says, "Hey, I saw Mission Impossible today. Can't believe it's okay." So good. I'm glad I got that one. Let's see. Kegger says, why is Sami Zayn doing Odin's live stream? Man, if I could be Sami Zayn, that'd be awesome. X-Winger says, Odin is the digital cookie monster. Yes, yes, I am. I am indeed the digital cookie monster for sure. Jeffrey Toon says, UK television is pretty good, producing series that end before they become too tired. There are some exceptions, unfortunately. Yeah, I mean, I would probably put up there, I haven't seen all of Downton Abbey, but I heard that it stayed strong up until the very end. I was a very big fan for a long time, so definitely sounds like it for sure. Yes, Tina, thank you so much for letting people know how to get, because again, I want to read everyone's comment, but when I'm reading every single chat, I get so far behind, especially now that we have more people join us than we normally had. So as long as I see Odin, even if you can't, so if you're on a phone, sometimes it's hard to get the orange or red highlight that will usually show up. So if I even just see the name Odin in there, try and get the @ symbol. But if even I just see the name Odin, I'll stop and I'll read it. Demongenai says, hashtag Ego the Ryan-headed planet is a fool who ruined episode 8. He did. I mean, 2 words, hyperspace RAM. That is what ruined everything. And I said this in the stream earlier, but like the more you think about it, the more it ruins everything else. Because think back to every Star Wars film and every conflict. All of the conflicts could have been fixed if you put a droid into an X-Wing or any starship that could go to light speed and then hyperspace ram it. You lose no life, at least for your side, and then everything gets destroyed. So. And then it saves us some time as well. Bori says, that hat makes you look more like a newsie than an Irishman. Yeah, because this is definitely a smaller one for sure, so I can understand why that is the case. But hey, I don't mind looking like a newsie. Try Bottle Alley or the Harbor. Try Central Park, it's guaranteed. Try any banker, bomber, barber. They almost all know how to read. Name that movie. Should be pretty easy at this point. But you get a digital cookie if you can name it. What is the Matrix says? Opinion. It seems to help putting your @ name for you to read because often we are also cross-talking. Exactly. That's the reason why I'm doing that now. So thank you so much for that. Spiral says, hey, how's it going, bro? Have you watched Ozark? No, I have not. So I read your comment earlier, but I think that you didn't have it before, but I did see it since you were new in the chat. Sometimes like I'll randomly pick random people who might not have the @ symbol, either because they're a regular who's just joining the chat or because it's a new name that I don't recognize. And I always want to reach out to the new people because I always appreciate y'all joining us. But no, I have not. But please sell me on it if you think I should watch it. Cyclone is back, and Lost Soldier, yes, the father and son duo is here. Yes. What's up, guys? Johnny 5 says, Odin, did you steal that hat from Brian Johnson of ACTC? Thunderstruck! No, I have not. No, I did not. Infamous. Infamous. Chuck Graham says, Odin, looks like you have a helicopter blade on top of your head. That's my light. In fact, the light bulb in my light went out, so that's the reason why it's not on right now. Yeah, Keeger, enjoy that digital cookie. Demanjanai, hit that like button, y'all. Yes, Demanjanai, thank you. So again, if you are here, hit that like button. We got 43 people watching. Let's make sure we have 43 likes. Irish Rican. Dave Bob says, what I said earlier was my very forefathers, 1680s, came to this great country from Switzerland. Oh, nice. Very, very cool. The Swiss, y'all. Very nice. Super, it's okay. It's okay, dude. Like, it's okay if you're late. It's no problem at all. What's up? Love the hat. Thank you. Thank you. Appreciate it. X-Winger, Leave by JoJo. Yes, you are correct. X-Winger, you get a digital cookie. Leave, get out right now. It's the end of you and me. It's too late. I can't wait for you to be gone, 'cause I know about her. I wonder why I bought all the lies. You said that you would treat me right, but you was just a waste of time. Yes, you are right. It was indeed Leave by JoJo. Digital cookie for you, X-Winger. Hyman says, Odin, just wanted to ask you, do you think that about the Ryan Gosling first man space movie? So I'm very excited for it. The guy directing the film was the guy who actually did Whiplash, which is one of my recent all-time favorite films. It probably has one of the best endings to a film of all time. It's an amazing drum solo. I never thought I would be so hyped and on the edge of my seat for a drum solo, but he does it. And Damien Chazelle? Damien Chazelle? I think that's his name, Damien Chazelle. Sorry, I'm begging my mind. But then he made La La Land, and it just wasn't very good, so I was kind of sad. But I think he's finally going back to form with First Man, so I'm actually very excited. The effects look fantastic, and I'm definitely going to go see it in IMAX Dolby for sure, so I can't wait. Let's see. Mechanical Warfare says, so you are an Irish canary, sing my friend, sing. Yes, Mr. Peabody, so X-Winger already got it. Patrick Shepard says, I never even heard of SJW or identity politics until after The Last Jedi. Hollywood is the Mordor of our world, the place where all the evil comes from. It's so true. Like, it's like, because as I said before, it's not even the culture that would, deny films like Blazing Saddles today. It's the toxic media and the toxic Hollywood SJW nonsense that would do that. Because unfortunately, they control all of the, levers of power. Super says, there are only a few actors and movie makers in Hollywood with the status to reveal their true thoughts. It's very true. It's very true. Eric says, if you keep the hat on, you should use Odin's hell of a live stream for your next video. Yes. Oh, I love the shout. Eric, digital cookie. Yes. Thank you so much for shouting that out. Yes. So we got some wrestling fans in here, at least people who are aware of wrestling. So yeah, Sami Zayn's finishing maneuver is called the hell of a kick, or the helluva kick as they pronounce it. But obviously it means a hell of a kick, and it's great. It's awesome, and Sami Zayn's great too. I'm sad that they're kind of ruining his character right now. What we got? Man, even just reading the Odin comments, we are getting very, very pencil. Very, very crazy. It's a very, very crazy world. It's a man's world. All right. Got that one. Perfect. All right. Sorry. Tune. YouTube has been acting weird. There are comments for the previous video I watched in the comment section for this stream. That is weird. I don't like that. That is very, very weird. Be pleased, you remind me of Seth Rogen with that cap hat. That's a compliment, by the way. I'm Seth Rogen. I can't do a Seth Rogen very well. All right, guys, so puppies are coming in. Come on in, pups. Just please don't destroy anything. I would appreciate that. Dad would appreciate that very much. And you've already started. Guys, also, if my stream goes out at any point from this point forward, as long as my dogs are in the room, it's because they unplugged the modem, because they do that. Mr. P.I. says, Odin, how is your back? Saw your previous stream. You had to pick up a... My back is fine, man. My back is fine. Mr. Peabody, digital cookie for that, man. That's awesome. Dawson, how many pencils can your mighty beard hold? Do it. I was able to get 3 at one point, even though it is not as big as it used to be. Where's my other one? Oh no, where's my other one? Guys, I can't find the third pencil. Oh no. I can't find it. Guess I'll have to make do with something else. Alright. So I got usually 3 though. So let's see. Super says, I think the success of a hypothetical Blazing Saddles remake would be determined by who makes it and how many people are willing to turn on Mel Brooks. I wouldn't have the courage. That's the reason why I think, again, everything else aside, if that film was made period with the same script, I don't think it would survive in today's Hollywood, at least. Oh, lost a pencil. Ooh, and lost a pencil. Oh, but I still got that in there. It's like my beard has an earring now. No Brad the Troll yet. Demonjanai says Blazing Saddles wouldn't get made. Crap. Have you seen, heard an old school Eddie Murphy or Richard Pryor stand up? SJW's heads would explode. I agree. And like, it's so hypocritical too. Wes Major says, Odin, know you're open to various topics, but are there topics you prefer to talk about? What? What did you do? What did you do? What did you do? Sorry, one of my dogs turned my TV on. That's what I'm dealing with right now. All right, it's time. It's time for the puppies to make another appearance. Come here. All right. So this is River. She is a Australian Shepherd Lab mix. She is very cute, but she's also a menace. She loves to bark, and she doesn't really bark. She squeals. Hi. Hi. And she loves to chew things and just make things crazy. Love you. Love you. All right. And Willow, come here. Come here. Come here. Come here, babe. Oh. Oh, and then there's this big monster. This is Willow. Willow is a German Shepherd and Beagle mix. She is long and lanky. She has a very deep bark compared to River, and she also smells. But I love her. Hi. Hi. She also gets very nervous. That's why she was like, Dad, I do not like being up here right now. But yeah, I mean, I like talking about movies. I mean, but I'm open to anything. Again, this is an open forum discussion, so any questions that you might have that you want to talk about, bring them up. Eric says, yes, Downton Abbey was consistent to the end. They are planning a movie. I did hear that. Don says, hey. Don Hudson says, I have a fever. A fever that can only be caught by more like button. Teresa says, just watch them come up with some lame reason. Hyra says, random question, favorite Villeneuve and Nolan film? Favorite Villeneuve film, Blade Runner 2049, hands down. Wait, no, that's a lie. Sicario. I love Blade Runner. It was my second favorite film of last year, but Sicario won. Hands down, my favorite Villeneuve film. Nolan, Dark Knight. Dark Knight, no question asked. B Please says, why can't Force users fly? It's a good point. I do think, like, the one thing I will say is when people critique the Space Leia scene, I mean, she's not flying through space. She's using the Force and pulling herself back to the spaceship, and there's no gravity, so that's the reason why it looks like she's flying. However, it's still a stupid scene that's terribly shot. But yeah, that's actually a good question. Soilo says, will you be doing any more videos? reviews for Geeks and Gamers. So I actually just recorded one today. It should go up the channel tomorrow, and it's actually going to be covering Star Wars and the China box office. It's going to be a reaction to the Donnie Yen interview, where he said that the reason why Star Wars isn't doing well is because the China market just isn't ready for Star Wars or something to that effect. So yeah, I did that video, and also I did a wrestling video for them last night, and so that should be up on the channel sometime this week. So yeah, I got 2 videos coming up. Laura says, best part of movie today was the Godzilla trailer during MI Mission Impossible. I went pee at the wrong time and came back after a plot twist. I was so confused. Henry Cavill was surprisingly good. Yeah, so Cavill was great in the film. And yeah, so I love that trailer so much. Talking about the Godzilla trailer, it's so damn good. But the whole movie is fantastic too. Vori says, Odin, I can tell you firsthand there aren't nearly as many SJWs in Hollywood as you might think. Liberals, 100% yes, but not SJWs. Plus, a lot of those in power only pretend to be SJW for PR reasons. I think that's a good point. But I definitely think it's enough to make an impact. Lawson says, so Odin, since you have Irish-Spanish blood, which would you be, a shark or a jet? Once you're a jet all the way from your first cigarette to your last dying day. Probably shark. No, jet. Jets. Just so I could do that. Jets. Absolutely. Johnny Fever, WKRP in Cincinnati, says Dave Bob. Jason Clark says, will you sing the movie Clue again, please? The movie Clue again? What? Let's see. I sang JoJo's song. What movie did I sing? I don't even remember at this point. Keeger says, do you do a wrestling live stream? Also, I don't do a dedicated wrestling live stream, but I am a part of the wrestling YouTube team for Geeks and Gamers. So you can find my wrestling thoughts there. And if that actually starts to grow a following where we're able to, be a more independent group, probably on the Sports Wars channels, I would imagine is where we'll end up being. I would be down for doing some wrestling live streams over there. How that says, dear Odin's light bulb, how dare you not work? That's what I said. Mechanical Warfare says, I'm sorry, my friend, but what ruined Disney Star Wars for me was episode 7, Han getting out of light speed inside the Death Star 3 atmosphere and not crashing, but that's just me. But you see, to me, that makes a little bit more sense than the hyperspace ram, because you could understand why someone could do calculations, actual math, to understand how to stop just in the right time. Again, I agree that it is a stretch. I can understand why someone would have a problem with it, but to me, it's still within the realm of possibility. Hyperspace RAM just destroys all canon, essentially. Johnny 5 is off to bed. Good night. Well, good night, Johnny 5. Thanks for being here. Hyman says, Jonah Jameson is J.J. Jonas Jameson is an amazing music teacher. Would love to see him throwing chairs at Kathleen Kennedy. Yes, I agree. That's talking about. He's talking about how he was in the film Whiplash, and that was one of the things that he did was he threw chairs and was very emotionally abusive. Mex says, who are you and what did you do with Odin? It's me. Don't tell anybody. I don't know what you're talking about, Mex. Don't know what you're talking about. Voorhees says that's obviously the Newsies dude. Thank you. So Voorhees got it correct. It is indeed Newsies. So Voorhees, you get a digital cookie for that. So yeah, try Battle Alley or the Harbor. Try Central Pockets guaranteed. Try any banker, bum, or barber. They almost all know how to read. Yes, that is Newsies. Congratulations on that cookie. Cookie, 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 a cookie, cookie, cookie. All right, now I gotta find that comment again so I have a frame of reference for it, because my chat keeps jumping on me. Where is it? There we go. All right, I'm back. Matsuine, what's up, man? Dave Bob says, Rowdy Popper, they live. Put on the glasses. Eric says, I think it was Michael J that did a good video on how hyperspace ramming breaks the Star Wars universe. It does. I mean, so anything that he would probably have to say about it would be right, I would imagine. So, yeah. Mex, he is Odin's brother, Mr. Wednesday. Slide Jones' mom's phone. What? What's up? Oh, what's up, Slide? Is that Slide? I don't think so. Oh, it is Slide. Okay. No problem, man. No problem at all. Dude, guys, go check out Slide Jones' channel. Is that Slide Jones' channel? I don't know. That's interesting. Prepare the puppies for, he says, dog review. Dog review. They are coming very soon. Don't worry. The dog reviews will be coming soon. Me and my wife are working on it. What is the Major says? Some late to the culture party. Hollywood is openly named for a spell casting staff. Off to clean up more crap. No, Max, I am not. Luckily, that is not the case. But my dog, River, is sniffing around right now. So let us hope. Are your dogs secretly cats? Teresa, they might be. They very well might be. They definitely act like it sometimes, for sure. Spyro says, Jason Bateman gets stuck laundering money for a Mexican drug dealer. He moves to the Ozark Mountains to move money through small businesses. Okay. All right. I'm going to consider it. Consider it considered. Alexander says, anyone in Hollywood supporting SJWs, especially the hashtag #MeToo movement, throws away their respectability, and they don't understand that The Force Awakens, as The Force Awakens said, when SJWs get what they want, they'll crush them. That's a good point. It's a very good point. And also, you see it now happening where they're starting to eat their own, too. And I think that that's something that they didn't really foresee, is that once you fully embrace SJWism, then you have to stick by it, or else you can be called a hypocrite. So I think that that's something that they're just starting to realize. Mechanical Warfare says, your pups are called Loki and Thor, aren't they? They're girls, so they're not. They're my hounds of justice, so I will send them on anyone who doesn't have it. Meg says, then you can't complete the Triforce. That's true. Diddy Clark says, Odin let the dogs in. Woof, 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 woof. Odin let the dogs in. Wayne Drenning says, did you mention before that you didn't like horror films? I don't. What about horror comedies like Army of Darkness? Any other favorites out there? Army of Darkness is great. Again, that's more of a comedy than it is a horror. There are a couple of actual horror films that I like, but it's because they're more psychological thriller than actual like pop-out scary. For example, It Follows is a really great film. The Babadook is also a great one. It's an Australian indie horror film. It's really, really good. As far as any other comedies or horror comedies go, Evil Dead 2 would definitely be up there because it is definitely a horror comedy in a lot of ways. And also, I would put up there, Joss Whedon did this film, Cabin in the Woods. Cabin in the Woods is an awesome horror comedy for sure. All right, we got 50 people in here. Hello. Hound says, Odin, your is so special. Well, thank you, Hound. I appreciate that. I appreciate that greatly. Slide Jones says, my phone went dead. I'm at my mom's. Didn't realize Odin was live. Okay, awesome, Slide Jones. Well, welcome. Yeah, and awesome first video, man. Keep it up. Everyone was saying hello and all to the dogs. Mr. Guy says, Odin River bypassed the compressor. Yes, she did. Yes, Stephanie. Love, heart towards the puppies for sure. Faux show. Want to hug them so badly. I know, they're so huggable. See, Eric says, what's more adorable, Odin with puppies or Jeremy with Leia? Ooh, them's fighting words. Obviously, as their dad, I believe that they're cuter than Leia, but also, I have actual dogs, not rats. I'm kidding. Leia is adorable. I love Leia so much, but real dogs. Let's see, Jeffrey Toon says, can you imagine what SJW remakes of Mel Brooks movies would be like? They would be awful. No one would see them, and then everyone would say, oh, you're just a bunch of racist sexists for not supporting these films. They would become Ghostbusters 2016. Let that be your template about what they would be. Not funny and not worth wasting my life on. Meg said, Willow, why am I here? That's exactly the face that she had. Super says, oh, since Flash Gordon got mentioned in the chat earlier, it inspired me to listen to Queen for like an hour straight. Gotta ask, which is better, Flash or Princess of the Universe? Songs, or is that shows? Because I don't know all of Queen's songs by heart, but I do like Queen. I do like their music. So I'm gonna say Flash. Wayman says, we need Odin's review of Starship Troopers 3, and The Wizard. I have never seen any of those. Vilned says, wow, YouTube sucks. Took 45 minutes before it showed that you were streaming. Yeah, dude, I hate YouTube so much. That's the reason why I suggest if anyone ever wants to donate to the channel, do it through Streamlabs, because the only one that gets money out of that is this channel and PayPal. YouTube does not get any cut of the Streamlabs, so that's the reason why it's really cool. Mr. Pete channel. Thanks, Mr. Pete. Thank you so much for the $2 super chat. Just need 37, by the way. 12th needed. Winner gets IHOP card. All right, so guys, if you want a chance to win an IHOP card, go sub to the Mr. Pete channel. He needs 400 subs. He is 37 away from that. So if you want an opportunity, he's going to choose his 400 subs at random to get an IHOP card. So if that interests you, go check out his channel. Let's see. CW says Hollywood is wrong and bad. There should be a new, stronger word for Hollywood, like bad wrong or badong. Yes, Hollywood is badong. That's great. Max says the part where Leia popped into hyperspace through the white supremacy was the best part of Last Jedi in 13 seconds. Beepley says, what do you think happens to consciousness after death? Ooh, someone's actually using the open forum. So if most of you know, the people who've been here for a very long time, you know that I am a theology teacher. I am also a devout Catholic. So I teach at a Catholic school. And so I believe that, you know, upon death, soul and body separate from each other, and we are judged then by God. And at some point in the future, at the end of time itself, during the second coming, that is when our bodies and souls will be reunited with each other in the glory of heaven. For those who are ones who have chosen the love of God, and so that's the reason why, as far as consciousness goes, that is all a part of the soul, and so that is what I think happens. So yeah, little fun theology corner for you. And again, I don't do that on my normal streams, but on open forum, I'll talk about pretty much anything. Let's see. Mr. Peabody says jet-propelled shark. Because Reason says, doesn't that hat look great on Odin? Well, thank you. I appreciate that. Thank you so much. Tina says, so what do you think Spielberg is going to try and do with his remake of West Side Story? I mean, what can the possibly expand on? Of course, I want to know why he's remaking it. Yeah, I don't really think there's anything that he can add to the story other than just putting a different twist on it. I think one of the main reasons is because when they cast Natalie Wood as the lead, she's not really, you know, Puerto Rican. So my guess is that one of the reasons why they decided to remake it was so they could actually cast a Puerto Rican lead. That's the only thing I can think about why they would do it. Vero Bell, thank you for subscribing to the channel. So again, if you're someone who's watching the stream and haven't subscribed yet, think about subscribing. You will get Odin pointing at you, thanking you. Let's see. Super says, idea might be wrong, but I'm pretty sure Jedi Force users have only shown moving solid objects. To try to fly, they'd have to manipulate gases. It would probably be really difficult. That's a good point. So I bet you could probably argue that there are some powerful Jedi or Sith or Force users, rather, in the history of Star Wars who were powerful enough to be able to control the elements of the Earth to be able to do that. So, though, of course, when we start talking about controlling the elements of the Earth, then it kind of goes into Avatar. Not Avatar like giant blue space Smurfs, but Avatar like the animated series, the one that Shyamalan made a terrible film of. Let's see. All right. Chat jumped again. All right, let's just make sure I get... Sorry, guys, I fell behind. I fell behind a little bit. I'm so sorry. Oh, man. So many people in the chat, even when I'm going through just the ones that have Odin in them. Tina says, didn't know you had a new video Movie Pass because yeah, exactly. Yeah, I have a new video on Movie Pass, and it just gets better every single day. They just keep digging themselves a hole. It's just ridiculous. Because Reason jumped off EVS. Wow, thank you. I appreciate that. Mr. Peabody says, Odin, when did you get to see River and Willow are always better with lightsabers? If I can find the way to do that, I will make it happen. But that's a little beyond my capacity. Voorhees says, I just on a prize. You just won a prize on Thursday. May I please save my digital cookie for later to improve someone else's chances of winning today? So the way that it works, Voorhees, is that when we do the running, I will just not put your name in there, but your cookie still counts for the bigger giveaway that's going to happen like once a month or so. I haven't decided on a date yet for that, but for that one, every digital cookie that's ever been won in every stream, my Valkyries have been keeping track of it. The only reason why I even did that is because Stephanie from the very beginning has been keeping track of every single cookie that's ever been won, and so that one's going to be a giant giveaway, and so your cookie will count towards that. But yeah, you're right, you're not going to be able to win a prize tonight since you just won one. Patrick Shepard says, away to bed now, love the channel, love the beard, I'll be back for more Ireland out. Well, thank you, Patrick Shepard, for joining us. Glad to have Ireland represent. For he says, or can I give away my digital cookie? So I would hold on to it. Because Reason says, YouTube, you're welcome. Cecil says hi. Well, thank you, Because Reasons. I love Cecil. Super says, Ozark is also directed by Bateman. Never watched, but I know people who have, and they loved it. Heard he did an excellent job. All right, well, I'll have to check it out then. Hybrid says, oh yeah, Cabin in the Woods was great too. Dumb fun with horror homages. Yeah, it was so great. Everything they did with the mermaid at the end was fantastic. And sorry, because I saw this movie represented. Under the Skin was something. Yeah, Under the Skin was not very good. I hated it. Where he says, Odin, we disagree on horror movies. I still like you. It's just fine. Exactly. We can disagree on things. We can totally disagree on things, and it's totally fine. Mex has to go. I'm sorry, Mex. See you later, man. It's not going to be the same without you. Yes, Tina posted my link to Streamlabs. So again, if you want to donate to my channel, but you don't want YouTube to get any of the money, that is one way you can do it. Sorry, the moving around is happening because my dogs are eating my chair. Stop eating my super chair. Name that movie. And you can also get a digital cookie. Because Reason says, I'm back, you slick-looking bastard. Well, thank you, man. Lost Soldier is not talking to me. Okay. Mr. Pete, also thank you again for your super chat. Beebley says, the first time I wanted to murder a kid was when I watched The Babadook. I can understand that. I can definitely understand. Stop. Ah, my dogs. Tina, thank you for shouting out the Patreon page. I'm going to pull them up in a second. My dogs are better than your dogs. Dave Bob says, no. No. My dogs are River and Willow. No chance in hell. No chance. No chance in hell you've got. Because he says, where is Master Odin on reading the chat? So yeah, I'm only reading ones that have my name in it. So I'm going a little bit faster tonight, but I'm still way behind. So it was Flash is Flash Gordon's theme they wrote for the soundtrack. Princess of the Universe is a song they wrote for the Highlander soundtrack. It's so wonderfully 80s and magical. Yeah, I don't know the difference between the two, so I can't answer that question honestly. Mechanical Warfare says, who wins in a hottest Star Wars woman in a predicament? Slave Leia, Rose Tico's sister, Ahsoka Tano, because Jeremy, or Padme? I don't really like the nature of the question, so I'm going to change it to, who do I think is the most beautiful Star Wars female character? And that would probably go to... Padme. I think Padme's gorgeous. I really do. Hybrid says, Odin, what do you think is better for Cap's goodbye in Marvel? To travel back and live happily with Agent Carter, or to die with sacrifice? I'm a softie. I am a big softie, so I definitely like the concept of him going back to spend time with Agent Carter, but I don't think they're going to do that because they kind of closed that storyline. She lived a full life without him, and so I think that that's not what's going to end up happening, so I think he'll probably die sacrificing himself, so I think that's the one they're going to end up going with. Vero loves Theology Corner. Well, thank you. I appreciate that. Tina with the update. 45 watching. Smack that like button. Yes, please. 8:35 in the chat. 8:42 here, so I'm not too far behind. This is definitely a lot smoother. Mr. Pie says, regardless of what you believe, energy never dies. It just changes. Good point. Let's see. Dave Bob says, Doomcock needs 13 more subs to get to 8,000. Yeah, guys, go check out Lord Doomcock. Obviously, as an Asgardian, as a Norse god, I allow him to have world domination, but he knows his place. But go sub to his channel. He's great. He is quite good. He is very, very good. He is very, very good. DJ, thank you so much for the $2 super chat. Thank you for your service to the church. Well, thank you, DJ. I appreciate that so much. Thank you. Sorry, I'm trying to find where I was in the chat because even though I'm skipping several, I'm still falling so far behind because y'all rocking it. All right, Doomcock. All right, I'm back. Tina says, if that's the reason why Spielberg is remaking it, sorry, but I'd love to smack him upside the freaking head. Just a useless waste of money. Sorry, it makes me... No, I agree, because again, why remake a movie that does not need to be remade? If you're just remaking it for political reasons, like, that just is stupid. It's so stupid. Jason Clark is also a Catholic with the rosary. Yes. Thank you. Awesome. Mechanical Warfare says, I am sorry, Odin, but you remind me of a World War II Dutch milk delivery guy on a bicycle. Mechanical Warfare, digital cookie for you, sir. That's great. 70B, thank you for shouting out the tin cup for Streamlabs. So again, that's how you can donate to the channel by just going it straight through PayPal, and YouTube gets none of it. Lit AF Bob Pompiani says, yo, Odin knows about Avatar The Last Airbender. That would be after your time frame. I grew up with that. You know, I know about the Shalamalananon version, which sucked, but I do also know about the animation. Super says, Steven Spielberg is remaking West Side Story because he can. No reason, he just feels like it. Yeah, I'd say that's probably accurate. Dave House says, Jedi can jump like a mofo, though. That is true. They can't fly, but they can jump very, very high. Alexander says, did you say you're a teacher at a Catholic school? I am. I indeed am. 42 likes, 48 watching. We're down to 40, but that's okay. Hit that like button, please. Mr. B.I. says, Odin, if you can use the Force to manipulate objects, then you should be able to manipulate your proximity to the object, so therefore fly. But it's a little bit different than that, because if you're just pushing yourself off the ground, how far does it go? Like, how far can you push yourself off the ground for? That's kind of the concept if you're talking about pushing. The manipulation of gases would make a little bit more sense, but then that requires a lot of power. So that's the reason why I'm over there with that. 70 says, smokes me on keeping up with the cookies. Yes, you have been fantastic. Both of y'all have been great. CWD says, Kyrian guess that movie. I don't know. Without an actual tune, I can't figure it out, unless it's like a song that I know very well. Jason Clark says, on my way to dinner and drinks with friends, gotta go have a nice chat. Well, Jason Clark, thank you for joining us as always, and go have fun with some dinner and drinks. We're doing our best, that's for sure. Tina, no, y'all are doing an excellent job. Let's give a round of applause, please. Let me see some claps in the chat when I get down there for the Valkyrie. They are fantastic. They are wonderful, and I love them. Hyman says, sorry if I keep asking questions. That's what the point. It's an open forum, man. Keep asking questions. How about your favorite genre? Mine is sci-fi fantasy. Very good question. I would say that my favorite genre would be action. Action sci-fi. Action sci-fi is my favorite genre. I know it's getting more into like subgenres, but action sci-fi, I've always loved action films. I really do like, I like a lot of genres. There are very few genres that I don't like, but I think the ones that I could sit down and watch on a daily basis would be action sci-fi films. Very close to that would be a very well done comedy for sure. Was Major says, Odin Under the Skin was a great storytell of the lust and its consequences. Yeah, I mean, what is Matrix? I get that. I get that that was what its meaning was, but for me, I was just like, no, I don't want to watch this. What are you doing? Hey, leave that alone. I love you, but you gotta leave it alone. I love you, but you gotta leave it alone. No, Don. No, Dodd, please. No, Don, hi. Want to say hi? Hi everybody. My name's River. My thoughts on The Last Jedi were that it was total garbage. I mean, who puts in a hyperspace RAM? Honestly, I think that in my own dog opinion that we should have had more lightsaber battles, and that would have been better than that. Those are just my initial thoughts, guys. So I'm gonna give it back to my dad because he's great, and I just want to go. So, all right, guys, I gotta go. Thank you for my opinion. All right, guys, so that was River's thoughts on The Last Jedi. So let me know if you agreed with her comments. Vori says, it's Congo. It is not Congo. It is not. Alexander says, I think it's safe to assume that the consciousness is not immortal, but it's nothing to fear since you will understand not to be afraid of it in old age. Well, I mean, yeah, I'm trying to answer this question as well as I possibly can. So, Because when it comes down to the question of, well, what is the soul? What does it mean to be? What is existence itself? Obviously, a human person is a composite of body and soul, of mind and matter. And so when it comes to the intellect itself, the mind, the intellect, that is because as being creatures of God, we are created in the imago Dei, or the image of God. And a lot of people get that confused with, a physical image, when that's not actually the case. Being created in the image of God means several things. One, it means like God is immortal, so too we are given the gift of immortality within our souls. Our souls are immortal. We are also given the gift of intellect. And so therefore, when we talk about our soul and our intellect, we usually, at least within the realm of philosophy, use them interchangeably. So that's the reason why when the intellect, or when the body and soul separate from each other, obviously the body at that point in time, being still within time itself, begins to rot, begins to wither away. But it's also the miracle of the resurrection itself, when the body and soul are reunited together in a new body, in a glorified state. So therefore, the mind and the body are once again made whole. Because the reason why the Catholic Church especially believes in that is not just because it's been revealed to us in Scripture, but also because to be human is to be body and soul. So therefore, to just be soul in heaven, to just be a soul flying around in heaven, as it's often described, would therefore not be fully human. We need our bodies and our souls together as a composite to be fully human, if that makes any sense. Getting some more theology. I love it. Got to get myself prepared for the school year anyway, so. Your dogs misses your attention. Yeah, they do. They really do. Hi. Hi. Oh, you're jealous. Yeah, my baby's jealous. Now, where is... All right, there she is. All right, guys, so I'm going to let my dogs back outside because I think that they're done in here. 1 second. Come on. Come on. Come on. All right. I'm sure they'll be crying at the door in a second because that's just what they do. All right. DJ, thank you once again for your super chat. And now I have a very, very good frame of reference to go back up to. There it is. I'm not too far behind. Not too bad, I would say. Again, guys, if you want me to read any of the chats that you put on there, either through super chat, through donation, or if you just tag my name in, I'll be able to see it. Jeffertune says, I have to say that I thought the Anakin-Padme relationship was a little creepy when you consider them both in the Phantom Menace. I thought they have a brother-sister relationship. I agree, but also, too, there's the whole age difference. Like, he grows up way too quickly between the films, and it just does not work. Spiral says, hey, Odin, agree or disagree? Practical effects are better than CGI. No, I agree. I totally agree with you there. Well done practical effects are always going to be better than CGI any day of the week. Because Reason says, IDU, Odin brought up his super speed, D-time jump top. Yes, clap for the Malcrease. Clap. Clap louder. Palmiana says, didn't mean to imply you're old, Odin, but you are the Allfather. I am. I'm turning 30 this year. Fun fact. Spiral says, Odin does a Snoke's face look like a testicle or walnut. Walnut. Definitely like a walnut. However, maybe if a walnut and a testicle had children, we would have Emperor Snoke, Supreme Leader Snoke. CW says, it's not a song, but a quote from Uwe's Bowls at the end of the House of the Dead funny version. Okay. Neil Cullen says, Mr. Odin, are you a grade school teacher? High school. I am a high school teacher. Hybrid says, great choice. Thank you very much. The dog again. Oh, she's cute. Too cute. Holograph, the dog loves you. Awesome. I love my dog so much. Yeah, she's great. River and Willow are both great, but they can definitely be a handful. Jeffertine says, talking about theology, why do you think the book of Esther was chosen in the Old Testament? It doesn't really seem to have a bearing on Christianity. So when it comes to the canon of Scripture, that's what we call it, the collection of books, the way that it was established was that there was already a pretty standard set of what was seen to be in, because what is the canon? What is the Bible? They're what's been deemed by the church to be divinely inspired. Now, does that mean that the books that have not been made a part of the canon are not important? No. It just means that they were not seen as divinely inspired. And how did the council come up? How did the councils and the church come up with it? Through the inspiration of the Holy Spirit. But when it comes to the Old Testament, most of those books were already well established within the realm of Judaism, because a lot of people oftentimes forget Jesus was a Jewish man. He followed the Jewish law, he went to temple, and a lot of the early Christians continued to go to the temple. It wasn't until the temple was destroyed that they eventually were forced to take certain things that they still did at the temple, like reading of the scriptures, to bring them into the house or the early house churches of that time to start to adapt what would eventually become the Mass as we know of today. Now, as far as the books of the canon, though, again, the Old Testament was pretty much well established, and then that was the time in the early church when the New Testament writings were being put together. So the reason why the book of Esther particularly would be added in is not because not all of the books, because if you break down the Old Testament, you understand that there are several different books. There are historical books, there's what's called the wisdom literature as well. And so when you understand Esther, not as just a random story that's being told, but as having a deeper theological impact and having deeper theological meaning, then you start to understand why the book of Esther specifically is very important to the realm of theology in general. So that's the reason why. Because the whole point of Scripture is that there is a literal view of Scripture. And by that, I don't mean a word-for-word translation. It means that there's obviously the words on the page that mean something and that meant something to a person at a point in time. Because the other thing that we forget is that the books of the Old Testament were actually written over thousands of years. They were collections of stories that were being written, edited, collaborated, put together, and eventually they made up the Bible that we know of today. So it's the same thing with the book of Esther. It wasn't that just one person sat down and wrote down every single thing. There's only one book in the entire Old Testament that can actually be attributed to one writer, and that is the sorry, I'm blanking out right now. Sirach. So the book of Sirach, or the book of the Wisdom of Ben Sira, as it's often known, is the only book where the author is actually identified. And so that's the only one. And even that one is not necessarily someone who sat down and was like, oh, I'm going to write down every single thing, and this is how it's going to be. It's a compilation of various things. So that's why there are different interpretations of Scripture, because you not only look at the words and trying to understand, well, what did those words mean to the Israelites at that time? But also, why did someone edit these stories in this way? Big question is, why are there two creation accounts? If you just take a literal interpretation of Scripture, like a word-for-word translation, it doesn't work. It doesn't make any sense. But if you understand that someone edited the Bible, or at least the Old Testament at that time, to have those stories next to each other, what you understand is that those two stories, those two accounts, are next to each other because they both reveal different realities and aspects to God's nature, and also the relationship between God and man. So, sorry to go off on a little bit of a rant there, but again, this is open forum, so we talk about pretty much everything on this chat, including theology. And if that's not your jam, go to just save it up for the Welcome to Asgard streams that we do, because that's when we stay specifically on, on movies, television, pop culture, things like that. B Please says, you mentioned you're Catholic. How do you pick and choose what's right and wrong from the Bible? Also, do you think there are other gods like the Islamic God, Indian gods, and so on? Well, when it comes to the Islamic God, Islam, Judaism, Christianity, we're all what's called monotheistic. We all believe in one God. And so when you actually look to Islam, they actually find their heritage from an Abrahamic source. So just like Christianity and Judaism come from the son of Isaac, again, the chosen son, the one who was given the inheritance, Ishmael, who's actually the firstborn in that situation, and the firstborn of Abraham, is actually the one. Remember, because for anyone that doesn't remember, Abraham and Sarah were going to have a child. They were promised a child. They got impatient, so therefore Sarah allowed Abraham to lie with one of his servants. That's how Ishmael was born. And then it was promised in Scripture that a great people would come from Ishmael, and so therefore Islam finds their heritage through Ishmael. Now, when it comes to, so therefore when we talk about the different gods, it's the same monotheistic God. It's the same God. It's the same Yahweh, Allah, God as we call it in Christianity. It's all seen as the same. Now, of course, we all have different interpretations of what God is like, the different thoughts on the nature of God. So as far as believing in polytheism, I'm not a polytheist. I believe there is only one God. And as far as going back to that other question about how do I choose what's right and wrong from the Bible, that's a great question. And that's the reason why Christ established a church, was because he knew that by putting the church into the hands of human persons on their own, if we just were able to choose whatever we wanted, right or wrong, we would end up in chaos. That's the reason why some people at some point in history in the United States use the Bible to justify things like slavery. That's why Christ, when he established the church, established a magisterium, a teaching authority. Originally the apostles, and then began to be the successors of the apostles as well. And so that's why we trust them with the proper and correct interpretation of Scripture to then know what God has revealed to us. So that's the answer to that question. Ooh, we got some good stuff going on. Dave Bob says, my dad was a Southern Baptist preacher, a prophet, fire, and brimstone. It's in the lineage from Switzerland. My great, and so on founded the first Huguenot church in America. Well, that's really cool. That's awesome. Yeah, I'm married to a Methodist. So, again, I'm very, open to conversation because I believe in ecumenism. Ecumenism is the belief that, all Christians should be one with each other. And the best way to do that is to have dialogue, to communicate. Hound 2000 says, I want to hug those dogs so much since I'm a hound. They are pretty great. They are pretty great. It was not Congo Voorhees. Because Reed says, what do I like about Odin? He talks about reality. Well, thank you. I appreciate that. I try and always keep it real. Mechanical Warfare says, Leia Poppins forgot to add in the distance she traveled after she was explosively ejected from the ship and her constant speed away from the ship, adding in the speed of the ship, which was constant. You are really diving into that one point. But no, you're right. You're absolutely right. And that's the reason why it just does not work. Yeah. I also love that name. Because reasons, that's a really great name. Hound 3000 says, that is so deep. Well, thank you. Well, thank you. All right, so I need to find, that is so deep. That is the point before my chat decided to jump on me. So give me a second, please. Give me a second. All right. Super says, kind of random, but did you get to see the Donald Gleason, Margot Robbie, Christopher Robin movie? Yeah, I have not. I know that Jeremy for Geeks and Gamers did see it and he liked it, so it is on my list of movies to see for sure. Obviously, I can't see it with MoviePass because they're blocking every film in sight, so I will have to see it with my AMC A-list, but I'm going to try and see it this week. Puppy Break. Law Soldier says, preach it, brother. Well, thank you. Is Odin wearing silk pants? No, they're basketball shorts. They are basketball shorts. Is there a way to slow the chat? There is, but the problem is that when you slow the chat, it makes it impossible for people to dialogue with each other. And that's why I love my chat. And that's one of the reasons why I do it, is not just so that I can talk, but so that way y'all can talk to each other. So that's the reason why if you want me to interact and talk to you, just do the @ symbol. So I'm skipping any comment that does not have my name in it. Alexander says, how does your dog talk about The Last Jedi if only the humans have intellect? Also, when is your beard review coming? I hear it was good for pets. You got me there. Obviously, I know that you're just trolling, but yeah. So dogs, just to get to philosophical for a second. Yeah, so dogs do not have an intellect since they are not created in the image and likeness of God or the Imago Dei. And so that is the reason why you are right. They could not have actual thoughts on it. But that's why I speak through them, and it's fun. As far as the beard review, I don't know, man, but you're right. They have plenty of room. Random, hi, Random. Lost Order says Anakin was so in the friend zone. He was absolutely in the friend zone for sure. Let's see. Super says, also, don't you just love how Disney released another Christopher Robin movie this year because the last one didn't have their name on it? That's a great point. Yeah, that's right. Because when it was announced, I was like, wait a minute, didn't they already do this film? But you're right, it's because Disney's name wasn't on it. That's a good point. Oh, the big 30. Dave Bob says, you're younger than both my boys. Where he says, do you think everything in the Bible is literally true? No. And no Catholic will ever say that, because we do not believe in sola scriptura. We do not believe that all truth is just in the Bible. We believe in not only sacred scripture, but also sacred tradition. And we understand that the Bible is made up because it took thousands of years to put together, because it wasn't just one person writing it. There are so many different minds. There are so many different genres being used. And that's one of the biggest challenges to biblical criticism, is to understand what was the person writing that account. What was their intention when they wrote it? What were they trying to convey? And that's one of the biggest problems that you find with people who are literalists, people who take the word as it is that they can't justify certain things being mentioned one next to the other when you actually take a literal approach to it. I think everything in the Bible is important, though. That I do believe. Everything serves a purpose. Jefferson says, new fan theory, Snoke is Deadpool. Talk about subversion of expectations in the best way. Let's see. B Please says, I think that our brains receiving consciousness, and when we die, we cross dimensions at some point, enter into a new vessel. Okay, that's an interesting philosophy. That's definitely an interesting philosophy. Esther isn't a bad book. Book of John, it's a good one. I love the Gospel of John. It's just so philosophical. I don't like sand. It's soft, irritating, gets everywhere. No, I don't like sand. It's coarse and rough and irritating. And it gets everywhere. Super says, Emperor Smoke is the senior citizen version of Johnny if he had survived the ending of The Room Too Far. That's a very good shout. Eric says, but are you familiar with the passage of Austin 3:16? Austin 3:16 said, I just whooped your ass. Yes. Oh, good shout. Eric, digital cookie for you, man. Love me some Stone Cold Steve Austin. Because Rita says the Old Testament doesn't mean crap. Don't say that. It does. It does. It has significant meaning, and in the light of the New Testament, it has even more meaning, because everything in the Old Testament is preparing for and foreshadowing the coming of Christ. Adam Shawhan, what's up? FYI, my clan of dachshunds have been watching you all day on their TV. They approve. Well, I'm glad that they do. I know that when my dogs see other dogs on TV, they run up to it and they're just like, I want to play. I want to play. Let me know if your dogs do that. Brad Noble, get that garbage out. This Esther sounds hot is what he says. Brad, go to the corner. Go to the corner, Brad. Wes Major says, and how cool is it in modern movies like The Matrix and others refer to these ancient texts? It's very true. And yeah, there are a lot of religious references to The Matrix. Like, I remember when I was in high school, one of my teachers used it to talk about baptism, how there's this sense of rebirth that happens for Neo in a lot of ways. So yeah, there's a lot of deep messages in a lot of films. Neil Coolin says, Odin, as of this evening, I have a new appreciation for you. You're very well spoken. Well, thank you, Neil. I appreciate that. Thank you so much. Xwinger says, should study the lives of the 1611 King James translators. There are no men of that caliber alive today. Some spoke 5 to 6 languages fluently. There are still people like that in today. So I will say, I understand your respect for them, but they're just not nearly as many, because there's so many people who are just not interested in learning Hebrew and Greek and Latin and, languages that people don't some languages like Latin, for example, that just aren't spoken, that are dead languages. And it's really sad, because that is the best way to understand what Scripture actually means, because it's not just about knowing what the words themselves say, but what the actual historical context of those words actually is too. So I agree with you, though. It sounds interesting, though, to look into that. Yeah, the King James version is, obviously that's not a version that I read, because there are certain theological differences, theological translations that are not in line with the Catholic translation of Scripture. But at the same time, I appreciate the beautiful language that's used. Super says, wait, could you please say which book in the Bible has one identified author? I'd love to read about it. Also, there are 2 creation accounts. Could you please explain? Yeah, so Super, it's Sirach, S-I-R-A-C-H, or the, it's often called the, so my wife just got home and one of them pooped. So that means I don't have to clean it up. So be happy about that, guys. I don't have to clean it up because my wife just got home, but I feel really bad. Sorry, getting back to your question. Let's see. So yeah, it's called The Wisdom of Ben Sira is often sometimes what it's called, but in Catholic Bibles, you see either one used. So yes, Sirach, S-I-R-A-C-H, or The Wisdom of Ben Sira, and 2 creation accounts. And so the first creation account is said to have been written by what is often described as the priestly source. So it's very, this happened on this day. And it's very methodical. It said on the first day, this was created and God said it was good. On the second day, this was created, God said it was good. And so all of that is meant to show that the pinnacle of creation is what? Mankind. Because mankind is what is created last. So it tells us a lot about the nature of man, but it also tells us a lot about the nature of God as well, because it helps to reveal to us the mindset of God, or at least the nature of God. The second creation account, which follows immediately after, man is created first, and then all of creation is built for and around mankind. So therefore, it's said to be written by what's called the Yahweh source. The reason why is because you often see, so basically, even the creation accounts themselves and the book of Genesis too are written by several different voices. People noticed when they were studying scripture that there were several different narratives that didn't always use the same language, and so the only way to really understand it and to describe it was to say, well, there must have been different authors or different sources that were used by the person putting these things together. And so that's the reason why it's called the Yahweh source, because they use Yahweh for God, while when you look to the Elohist source, they use Elohim for God. And that all comes down to respect of the name of God. And so yeah, that's basically everything about the two creation accounts. There's a lot more I can go into, but I want to make sure I'm able to get into some other questions too. Man, this is getting some very deep theological. How 2000 says, heard the difference. All right, so I know that as the one that I need to go to. All right, where is it? Where is it? Oh, I saw one that's going to be very... It's going to be very, very controversial, I think. All right, so Hound 3000 says, heard the difference of Christianity and Islam before from an African lecturer. Yeah, I mean, and my mind was even blown this past year because I had a student who was Muslim, and so we always had some very good intellectual conversations about theology. It was really cool. Dave Bob says, and he shall be a wild ass of a man, his hand shall be against every man, and every man's hand against him, and he shall dwell in the face of all his brethren. What is Major says, I wonder if one day if a mass of churches could operate through these types of virtual spaces. A lot of them are. So there are definitely certain churches that are trying to adapt to the digital age. Now, do I think that there will ever be, digital confessions? No, because that takes away one of the aspects, so basically every sacrament consists of form and matter. Form is like the words that are spoken, the actions that are done, and the matter is the actual physical aspect. So the Eucharist, for example, the matter is bread and wine. So that's the reason why only bread and wine can be used in the sacrament, because it's proper matter. Anything else that's used, therefore, you would not have a valid sacrament because it's not proper matter. And then same thing with form. There are certain words that must be said. So with confession, there has to be that closeness within the confessional itself. And so that's the reason why it would not happen. But that is not to say that, you couldn't have priests offer the ability to talk to people or something like that through a digital space. That could be really cool. And I think it would help a lot of people. Nemesis08, what's up, man? What's up, my brother from another mother? What's crackin' lackin'? Saw Sicario, finally, good flick. Yeah, Sicario is fantastic. And Nemesis, I've missed you, man. It's been too long. Super says, what are your thoughts on the Crusades? So this is the one that I saw earlier. So when it comes to the Crusades, I think that there's a lot of misinformation on both sides of the discussion about it. So I'm obviously someone who, I'm speaking off the top of my head, I have not read a lot lately. I always try and keep on reading new things so that way I can keep myself sharp on these topics. When it comes to the Crusades themselves, they were begun with a good intent, and that was to take back. Oh boy, Brad Noble just got timed out. Was to take back the Holy Land, because the Holy Land had been taken over, and so therefore it was to free the people who were captured in the Holy Land. Now, were there a lot of bad things that happened in and because of the Crusades? Absolutely. My favorite account is, I think it was the Fourth Crusade, where they went all the way to Constantinople, which was the route that they would take to get to the Holy Land. And instead of going on to the Holy Land, they sacked Constantinople. They destroyed Constantinople and then went back home. And so, were there bad things that happened? Absolutely. Were there abuses that happened? Absolutely. But the intent, the original motive of the Crusades themselves was of a genuine nature, is my thought on it. Adam Shahan says, shout out from the clan, Huggies, Buddy, Doodles, Rolo, Oscar, Oliver, Duty, Pumpkin, Bailey. Okay. What does that say? HBDROO. What? I don't get it. Ram says, I'm here. I'm just trying to get caught up on the comments at the same time. Me too, because I am still so far behind. Hyper says, even though I'm Muslim and my religion is Islam, I respect your analogy and beliefs from you, Odin. Keep up the great work, my king of Asgard. Well, thank you, Hyper, and appreciate you. And also, I respect you as well, man. And that's what I love about this community, is that we can be different. We can have different political philosophies. We can even be of different religious backgrounds, and we can still have conversations and talk to each other. So much respect to you, Hyper, and thank you for sharing that with me. Let's see. Jeffrey says, doesn't the Vatican have a science department? Yeah. I mean, that's also a very common misconception. the Catholic Church has always been pro-science. Like, and some people say, oh, what about everything that happened with Galileo? Well, if you actually do research on the Galileo incident, you realize that there were a lot of other things going on. Now, did Catholic Church, did members of the Catholic Church do some things wrong? Sure. I mean, obviously we can talk about that. But when you actually look to the church itself, the church has always very much been pro-science. That's why we try and bring discussions of how faith and science work together, because science and religion by themselves cannot explain the world, cannot explain existence. But together, in conjunction with each other, they can. Yeah, I mean, it's called the Vatican Observatory, for example, has done a lot of really great work. And in fact, a lot of documents that are brought in that need to be verified are oftentimes brought in and brought to scientists, brought into people who would be able to understand and be able to explain. Adam says, Pearl, Paisley, Penny, Peanut, and Frank. What? Are these the names of your animals? Because if that's the case, that is fantastic. Alexander says, I get the idea of higher purposes, but one blogger I have a problem with is Mark Dice. He always roasts SJWs all witty as you like, egret for the win, then goes on with his religion. Yeah, I mean, I always try and I be respectful as I can. Obviously if someone attacks me, then that's when I can get sometimes very heated myself, because I do have a very short fuse with certain things. But yeah, I don't like how if he's just having a difference in opinion, or if there are two people from two different theological perspectives, I think that's a bad place to try and, not even just evangelize, but proselytize, like try and make someone, evangelization is not the same as proselytizing. Evangelization is just sharing the good news. It's just sharing the word, explaining kind of what I'm doing right now. I'm evangelizing. Proselytizing is someone who actively is trying to turn someone into a certain religion or to accept something. I am never going to force anyone or try to make anyone anything. I believe that God gave us free will, and I believe that one can only truly accept God in their heart by their own volition, by their own free act of the will, as we would call it. Hanley says, do you think the Shroud of Turin really shows him? Yeah, the Shroud of Turin is one that's been very hotly debated within the theological sphere. And from what we know about it, based on the carbon dating, and based on the data that we have, there is a lot of evidence to suggest that it very well could be the actual burial cloth of Christ. But what does the church say about it? And this is something that's very fascinating. You oftentimes hear about Marian apparitions saying like Mary appeared here, Mary appeared there. And what a lot of people don't understand is that even though the church might say that certain apparitions are valid, Our Lady of Guadalupe, for example, Our Lady of Lourdes, that does not mean that it is a part of what we call the deposit of faith, something that's been divinely inspired, divinely revealed. Shenlong, what's up, Shenlong? Thank you for the $2 super chat. And no message. Thank you, man. Thanks for the super chat. But anyway, going back to it. So basically, that does not mean that it's a part of the... So basically, Catholics, we have to accept the deposit of faith, sacred scripture and sacred tradition. Apparitions of Our Lady, even though they might be improved by the church, those are not a part. They do not become a part of the debates. That's why people can still question those acts. Shroud of Turin is the same. We can still question the validity of the Shroud of Turin, respectfully, of course, but we do not have to believe. It's not a part of our faith. For example, I have to believe as a Catholic that Christ is the Son of God. That's a part of the deposit of faith. I can't question that. I can't fight against that. I do not have to have the same amount of belief that the Shroud of Turin is valid. I hope that clears up like the difference between something that's a part of the deposit of faith and something that's not. This is getting, we're getting some good stuff right here. Pomiana says, did you see Mission Impossible Fallout? I did, and it's awesome. Go see it. It's fantastic. It might be my favorite Mission Impossible film so far, and it is one of the greatest action films in the last 10 years. Easily. It's fantastic. Forey says, okay, that makes more sense. I think a lot of the Bible as an Aesop fairy tale, such as Jonah and the whale, which obviously didn't really happen. Like, this isn't Pinocchio. Yeah, so it's not exactly fairy tale. Like, that's just the one clarification I want to make is that Catholics don't believe, the church does not believe that it's a fairy tale, does not believe that it's all meant to be taken symbolically, but mostly that there are certain parts that were written to be taken in what's called the spiritual sense. So there are two senses to Scripture, a literal sense and a spiritual sense. A literal sense does not mean a word for word. It means that the words say something that means something for something at a certain meant something to a person at a certain period of time. Because obviously the words, the words like, and then there was light, that obviously meant something to that person at that particular time. Oh man, Shenlong, thank you, dude. Thank you for the $25 super chat. Was supposed to be 25, not 2. Shenlong, dude, that's the second time you've donated like that, man. Thank you. I appreciate you, man. Thank you so much for the donation. And also, Shenlong, you have essentially funded us being able to do a giveaway tonight. So thank you, Shenlong. And if we get more, then we'll be able to do more giveaways too. But this is a great chat, guys. I'm loving this. I'll be getting back to it. So when it comes to scripture, once again, so there's a literal sense and a spiritual sense. So literal is what the words actually meant to the author at that time. Spiritual sense is what is underneath those words. What is the deeper spiritual meaning behind the words themselves? And that is definitely where the aspect of faith comes in. So it's not thought of in the same way as a fairy tale. That's the main thing I want to say. Alexander says, and talks about the Lucifer TV show on Fox and how it's bringing up Illuminati, New World Order. Cool it, dude. Yeah, man. Okay, so you're continuing on that conversation. Yeah, that's crazy. I would never go on a rant like that because the whole thing with Illuminati, that just... It's all just silly nonsense to me. And yeah, and like anyone that says like, oh, Lucifer is making more people Satanists, it's like, no, just stop. Like that's not how you reach out to people. Mechanical Warfare says, what is your point of view on alien life and the possibility that they exist, but we are too limited or primitive to see or communicate with them? Yeah, so I've talked about this on a previous stream. So basically my view of this is there life not on Earth? Yes. Is it intelligent life? I don't think so. Now, could there be a day when it's revealed to us that there is? Possibly. Because obviously faith and science can work together to expand and to explore those things. But as far as my own personal view, I am not someone who believes that aliens have come to visit us, that they're here and that we just can't perceive them. In reptilians, I just don't fall into those things. Now, do I believe there's life? Yes. I mean, scientists have already shown that there's the capacity for life on Mars, for example, because we find certain samples of ice and water and remnants of water rather. So we know that there was probably some form of life on that planet. All right, Lost Soldier, you have a good one, man. B Please says, would you ever consider converting to a Viking? That would be cool. It would definitely be cool to be a Viking for sure. Wesmage says, the story of Adam and Eve is a coded symbol system for how we developed consciousness. So yeah, with Adam and Eve, the church would say about Adam and Eve that we do believe that God created man. Now, does that mean that we believe that the earth is only 6,000 years old? Not the Catholic Church. There are some denominations that do. We are not one of them. And there's not a lot of scientific evidence to back that up, that it's only 6,000 years old. But can evolution work within the framework of the creation account? Absolutely. And that's again where faith and science can work together to make a clear picture that God did create the first man, but you could say it happened through the development of evolution. So, all right. Good stuff. Doggy Heresy, says Jeffrey Toon. Keeger says, your wife is cleaning up my opinion on The Last Jedi. Keeger, that's another digital cookie for you, man. That's great. I always love that. Because Adam says, they are spoiled rotten. They sit on the couch and bark if they don't like what's on TV. No kidding. I'm being truthful here. The couches in my room are the dogs' couches. I sometimes feel that way about my dogs too. Beepley says, do you think that God, heaven, and the soul is magic or science, that we don't understand it yet, like the string theory and such? I wouldn't say science. I just think it's a part of the natural order. And so I think that, again, God created us, as humans, having a both body and soul. And so as far as all that, I wouldn't say it's magic and I wouldn't say it's science. I would just say that it's the natural order. It's just reality itself. Let me know if you need me to elaborate on that. X-Winger says, Acts 16:31. First off, Mattuine. Wow, dude, Mattuine, thank you so much for the $5 super chat. Let's see. If we all would follow the advice in Proverbs, the world would be a better place. Mattuine, I absolutely agree with you there. You don't even have to believe in God. You do not have to even believe that the words themselves are divinely inspired. But no one can deny that the words, a lot of the Proverbs themselves, are very wise, and they're things that a lot of people can support, that can get behind. And that's the reason why I think that a lot of us can get along, because I don't think anyone has a problem with morality itself. The concept of God, of a deity, that's where we find ourselves disagreeing on, getting back to some of those things. But I definitely do think that there are ways that we're able to, come together on various views. So yeah. Absolutely, man. Mattuine, thank you for the $5 super chat. And you're absolutely right, man. I really do think, if we could just talk to each other, because obviously everyone here in the chat, not everyone here in the chat is a Catholic, and yet we're able to hear each other, respect each other, engage with each other. And if the rest of the world could do what we're doing here right now, Like, imagine what we could do. Imagine what we could do in this world if we all embrace things, like he said, like Matt Tween said, embrace the words of Proverbs, but also just embrace the words of common decency. It's just fascinating. It's very sad too when you think about what we could be in a lot of ways. And that made me miss my place in the chat. So let me just make sure I'm able to find it. Dun, 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 dun. Because reasons, thank you very much for the super chats. You have super chats. You have a super chat. Congrats. Well, thank you, because reasons. I appreciate that so much. Thank you so much. That's awesome. You are fantastic. I've enjoyed our conversations because reasons, as I have with everyone else too. All right, I am back to where I was. Mr. P.I. says, as much as anyone would want to believe, as soon as you pass the word into man, it becomes corrupt due to the language or point of view. History goes to the victor. Yeah, I mean, I definitely do think that there's that possibility, but that's the reason why, as far as the church goes, we believe that the Holy Spirit inspires the word itself, so that way, to save it from corruption. So it's definitely possible. Brad Noble, thank you for the $2 super chat. It says Lando needs in on this. Well, thank you, Brad. I appreciate that. And also, you have a digital cookie, so you're in the running once again. So here's this question for you. I personally have not read much of Scripture, but I learned somewhere that in the Old Testament, Yahweh acknowledges the ancient Egyptian gods. Is that true? As far as their existence, no. God does not acknowledge that there are other gods. Now, does it mention that there are idols and gods of another people? Yes. But that does not mean that God acknowledges their existence or their validity, if that makes any sense. Because keep in mind, too, a lot of the Old Testament is historical. Some people might not want to accept that, but no one can deny that a lot of the things in Scripture, especially the Old Testament, is based on history. Now, not all of it. All of it definitely is not all based on history, but there are a lot of parts that are. That being one of them. Mr. Pie says, that does not mean I don't have full respect for other beliefs. No problem. Yeah, Mr. Pie, absolutely. We all respect each other here. Dave Bob says, my dad studied the text in Greek, Latin, and Hebrew. Me, I'm monolinguistic. I wish, man. I wish I had the time and patience to learn those languages, because it would just make Scripture that much more, fascinating. Let's see. X-Winger says, you and I would probably disagree on probably 85% of our doctrine. I have also studied Catholicism, but I would have a blast having some doctrinal discussion with you. Me too, X-Winger. And again, I mean, I have them all the time with my wife. We do not agree on a lot of things when it comes to doctrine, but I mean, that's where, but we can still love each other. I mean, that's just what it comes down to. And I think that if a lot of people, to sound cheesy for a second, so I don't want to sound too cheesy, so I'm going to make it a room reference instead to make it a little bit more light. If everyone in the world loved each other, the world would be a better place to live. But it's also true. Like, it is so true. Let's see. Spiral Ad says, Odin, I would love to have a discussion about the similarities in the life and teachings of the Buddha and Christianity specifically. Yeah, I know that there are similarities there. But the question that usually asks is, does that mean Christianity copied off of those things? And I would say no, because the differences between the two are so stark that there's no way that you could really say those things, if that makes any sense. Tina says, so on Crusade number 4, they got a little sidetracked on their way to Jerusalem. Yes, they did, Tina. And it's just like, every time I read about it, I'm just like, this is just ridiculous. Almost as ridiculous as the Children's Crusade, which is just a whole other can of worms. Mr. P.I. says, their GPS really sucked. They did circles in the desert for too many years. We'll also keep that in mind. They were being guided, but just because someone is guided by the Spirit doesn't always mean that they're going to follow it. I shall love hounds. I'm cute. Adam says, explain that scripture, brother. Great job. Dottie hit the send before I was done early. Sorry. It's no problem, Adam. It's no problem at all, man. Super says, correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't believe any other religion has an organized church like ours does. Opinions on the hierarchy and why this might be. There are other organized churches, but as far as there being just one singular body, then I would say it's very likely, because obviously when you look to other denominations, there are other, there are denominations, there are different splits of that. And one could say that there are splits within the Catholic Church too, but the difference is that in the Catholic Church does not recognize those subdivisions. Only ones that are in line, that are in union with Rome, are seen as being a part of the Catholic Church. But as far as the hierarchy, I think that the hierarchy was put in place for a reason. Christ established the hierarchy by calling to St. Peter, saying, "You are the rock upon which my church will be built," and by telling all the apostles, "Whoever sins you forgiven are forgiven. Whoever sins you retain are retained." And by building the church upon them, and by again allowing them the ability to forgive sins and to implement the sacraments and celebrate the Eucharist as well, since they are the only ones that were allowed to celebrate and partake in the Eucharist, and the ones that he was talking to when he said, "This is my body given up for you." So I think the hierarchy is very important. Now, do I think there are individuals, persons, that might become corrupt and might abuse their office within the hierarchy? Yes, but that does not corrupt the position itself. The person is corrupted. X-Winger, we can agree to disagree. You're exactly right. We can absolutely agree to disagree. Nemesis says, "I'm just glad those Knights Templars got out with the Holy Grail in the Last Crusade, or the movie would not have been good." It's very true. Adam Shawman says, "Yes, sir, that's the clan of Dachshunds that are the fans of yours along with myself." That's awesome, dude. Dude, that's fantastic. I was loving reading all those names. I was like, this has to be a group of dogs. Gary says, "The problem is not the religions. It's the people who twist it to serve their own agenda." You're exactly right. You're exactly right about that. Nemesis says, "Dobby have to die. Totally why did Dobby have to die? Totally unnecessary." It's funny. Me and my wife just got a Roomba. And she got it with, like, some gift money because she's always wanted one, and we named it Dobby. And it's fantastic. But it's a great. Why did Dobby have to die? It was unnecessary. But his character was also, in my opinion, again, I wasn't a reader of the books, but based on the movies, he wasn't really all that necessary, at least to come back. Why would they bring him back? Edgar says, "The Bible says, beware of science, falsely so called. There is true science, but example, the religion of evolution. Yes, it is a scientific religion." Yeah, I would definitely say that. I would definitely say that there are people who turn things like religion or even atheism itself into a religion itself. Like people who, hate religion and hate God, or rather reject the existence of God, become a religion in and of themselves and can become a religious sign. Now, does that mean that all atheists are like that? No, but I would say there definitely are some that fit that bill that as you described them. Angel Butler says, "Wow, Odin, you are wise beyond your years." Well, thank you, Angel. I appreciate that. And I was given through just my studies and just through listening, and I just try and share what I've been given. I think that's what all of us are called to do, to try to share ourselves with other people. Brad Noble got timed out. That's so funny. All right, let's see. Where else is my name being mentioned? Because Reason says, "Relax on religion, Mr. Odin." Dude, I'm just reading and answering the question. This is open forum because reasons. I'm sorry, man. This is because this is open forum. So any question or comment that's directed to me, I'm going to address it. Now, again, if you want to not have any of it, then just wait for those welcome to Asgard, because anytime I get a question, like if someone were to ask me during a welcome to Asgard, I would say I can't answer that tonight, because I understand that there are a lot of people that don't like talking about those types of things, and that's why I just dedicate one chat a week to being open forum. Hiram says, "Random question, and I was just wondering if you can answer. Odin, do you happen to know if there is a religious historic backstory of the Force in Star Wars?" I think that there is. Like, I think there's actual people that believe in the religion of the Jedi, like in real life. And I don't know much about it. That I really do not know. But I definitely think that there are a lot of correlations that can be made between the Jedi and also religious life itself, for sure. Because they're almost like monks in a lot of ways. And obviously, we talk about the Force. What is the Force? Who is the Force? So he says, "Thoughts on the Protestant Reformation?" Sorry, I'm a history nerd. All right, so yeah, so when it comes to the Protestant Reformation, it started off because people oftentimes get this confused. So people often think, oh, well, this is all about how the 95 Theses were nailed to the church wall. When actually, when you look to historical record, there's no proof that Martin Luther ever actually did that act. Now, he did write a 95 Theses, and actually, when you read the 95 Theses, there is nothing heretical within, in the eyes of the church, within the words themselves. It's because originally, Martin Luther wanted to actually reform the church. And I think that the church needed reform at the time. There were a lot of abuses going on in the church at the time. So I think that the Reformation itself, at its heart in the beginning, was in the right place. Now, what happened after that? Then Martin Luther started to put out heretical statements, trying to put into question different aspects of the faith, different aspects of theology, including things called sola scriptura, sola gratia, and sola fide, saying that we are saved by faith alone, scripture alone, and grace alone. Now, the church actually still to this day thinks that grace alone is fine, because it is only by God's grace that we can be saved. Now, we have to act upon that grace, yes, but it's only by God's grace that that can possibly happen. But the biggest problem is Scripture alone, because to say that Scripture alone is where truth lies, when in fact in Scripture itself, those words are never mentioned, is kind of problematic. You can't justify. So that's the reason why, like, I believe that would start off as a Reformation, and eventually there was a Catholic Reformation. That's where saints like St. Ignatius of Loyola came from. They reformed the church in the way that it stayed within the church itself. While Martin Luther, it actually became a revolution. It became a, no, we're going to change the teachings of the church. And it became very convoluted because people often don't understand that in Martin Luther's translation, in his German translation of the Bible, he added the words on his own with no reference, with no previous script ever saying these words. He added the words faith alone to Scripture to justify his own belief system. So that's the reason why it became a revolution, not a reformation. And so those are my thoughts on the Protestant Reformation. And also, Shenlong, thank you so much again for the 25 super chat. That's awesome. Nemesis says, Odin watched the documentary on the Shroud of Turin. Did you know it's not actual blood stains? It's more of like a photo negative, which makes so interesting. Yeah, so basically what happens is that the image itself is not blood. It's actually, and this is what's fascinating about it, because they can carbon date, and that's the reason why a lot of people do believe it. That's why the church, allows people to believe that it is the actual burial cloth, because what they found out through scientific research. So this is not just, a bunch of people, a bunch of monks sitting around saying, this is what we believe. These are scientists who are doing the study. So carbon dating puts it back to the time of Christ. And also the image on the cloth is shown to have only been capable of being produced if like an insane amount of light essentially had been exposed to it. Light that would not have existed during the time of which that cloth existed. So that's the reason why there's no scientific explanation as to how that image got onto that cloth. And so that's the reason why science can always only bring us so far before faith has to finish things up. But yeah, I haven't seen it in a while, but I know what you're talking about. Dave Bob says, "For by grace are ye saved through faith, and not of yourselves. It is the gift of God, not of works, lest any man should boast." Yeah. So the reason why, and again, this is where you have to understand. Not literal translation, but understanding what those words meant. What did they meant by not the works of the law? Not by works of the law. What were those works of the law? Circumcision, following of the Mosaic law and the Mosaic dietary code, for example. Those are what were being talked about in that sentence. So that's why you never see the word faith alone in Scripture. You only see in that one passage in that way. It is through faith that we are saved, but by acting upon that faith through works. That is what is also key. Let's see. Good chat tonight, guys. This has been awesome. Hybrid says, another random question, Odin. Do you think we should explore more in space or of the ocean? Both? Because I feel like both have been very much undersearched. I mean, there's so much of both to look into. Space interests me a lot more than the ocean and then the water for sure. But I think both should be explored equally, because I think there's a lot of things in both that could, teach us a lot of things. Obviously, I'm interested in space because I would love to, travel through space and to travel to different planets. I think that would be really cool. Matsuine, thank you again for that $5 super chat. Let's see. What does the Matrix says? Odin, maybe you should just occasionally have a theological stream. Maybe. I mean, that might be the case. Maybe that might be something that we do in the future, since a lot of people seem interested in it. But I think that having open forums is a good place for it for now. So, oh man. If we can just slow down on the comments, that would be the only thing. Let's slow down a little bit so we can start to wrap things up a little bit, because I'm really far behind, guys. Dogs are better than most people, says Dave Bob. I would agree. Let's see. Tina says, movie pass. Who got the cookie for The Last Jedi? Poop comment. I don't remember at this point. There's just been so many. Easy Cheese, what's up? Easy Cheese says, are you one of the Boondock Saints? Seriously, though, love the candid faith-based discussion, non-denominational Christian here. Well, thank you, Easy Cheese. I appreciate that. Yeah, I mean, it's been open forum, and we've had some really good discussions, and I'm glad that I was able to add something to them and was able to share some of my own faith and some of my own knowledge with you guys. And thank you, Easy Cheese. I appreciate that. And yes, I love the Boondock Saints. It's a great film. Alexander says, if a lot of people loved each other, the world would be a better place to live. The room. Exactly, Alexander. You're exactly right about that. Lando Carrison says, I need in on what? Brad Noble. I love Lando so much. Angel Brother says, I love what you're doing, Odin, on your channel. Well, thank you, Angel. I appreciate that so much. CB, please says, Jesus was an alien in disguise. there are people out there that probably do believe that. Like, they believe in Christ, but they believe he was an alien. See, Matt Sween says, Solomon, a man with many wives, was wise. Proverbs 21:9 says, it is better to dwell in the corner of the housetop than to share a house with a contentious woman. Neil says, Odin, do your students ever ask you about hell? What would you say that is? Yeah, they do. Obviously, my students, being teenagers, they always love to ask those very inquisitive questions, those questions that it's like they try and get you. They try and challenge you in a lot of ways. And so it comes to hell, obviously we look to what's been revealed to us in Scripture. And the main thing that we know what hell is it is an absence of God's grace. It is when we are completely separated from the grace and the love of God. And it's through our own act of choice. We are condemned to hell not because God says, oh, you did this, 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 and this, and therefore you're going to hell. That's a very it's a very childish approach to it. I'm not saying that someone's, oh, you're childish. It's just that usually a child would have that kind of view, saying, oh, there's a list, he's checking it twice, and that's how he's going to choose it. It's like, no, it's that every act that we perform in life, every choice that we make is of our own volition. We have free choice of the will. And those choices that separate us from God, if we continue on in those choices, we actively then separate ourselves from God. So that's why when we die, to me, it's more like God essentially says, now, of course, I'm anthropomorphizing things here. I'm putting human traits on God here, is to say, like, well, look at what you've done. You've separated yourself from me. I cannot force you. So basically, I always say, God cannot force you to love him. Only you can choose to love God. That is one of the greatest gifts he's given us, is that free will. So we can choose to shun God. We can choose to reject God, but we have to keep in mind that that rejection of God has consequences, because God is also not going to force us to love him. And so when we die, if we have rejected God, well, then we've made that choice. And so God is going to respect that choice. And as far as description of hell, it's an absence of God's love. And so therefore it's an absence of grace. And so we think of it as desolation, as loneliness, especially as pure isolation. One of my favorite descriptions of hell, and this is not theological, this is from a awesome playwright. It's a playwright called, his name is Conor McPherson, and he's written several great Irish plays, but the best one that I've ever read was The Seafarer. And in it, there is a character who ends up being Satan himself. And he talks to one of the guys where he's about to win a hand at poker, and basically the guy's soul is on the line. And so the guy knows that he's about to lose, and he says, what is hell like? And so he goes on this very long this very long monologue. It's very beautifully written. And he describes, imagine that you are buried in a coffin under 10 miles of ice, and you are totally alone, totally isolated, and you're suffocating, but you don't die. That is but a fragment of the pain of hell. And when I read those words, I thought, okay, there's no theological basis for this, but I think it is also spot on. Hell is total isolation. Because what is faith? Faith is community. Faith is sharing love of others, sharing love of God, and that's what heaven is. Heaven is sharing in the love of God. But when one chooses to isolate themselves from God, when someone rejects the love of God, then at that point, they put themselves into their own coffin, as it were. Buried under 1,000 miles or 10 miles of ice, being entirely alone. So went off on a little bit of a tangent there, but I think that's a very good question. All right. Mechanical Warfare says, where in the modern religions do they mention Sumerians, their civilization, their beliefs, and how many of their build near perfect granite blocks, pre-Bronze Age, or why aren't they? I don't know. I think is that getting into some of the comments that what was it, Invader 6 was getting into? I don't really know a whole lot about those. Tina says, oh, I've read about the Children's Crusade. You are so right about being another story itself. It really is. If you ever want to know like the worst crusade ever, look into the Children's Crusades. Super says, maybe a stupid question, but do you think that is important? What do you think is the importance of the sacraments? And do you believe that a person can be considered Catholic without receiving them? So to tell someone that they're a Catholic or not is not my job. That's just not my position. But as far as the validity of the sacraments, they are vital to us. Christ himself established the sacrament of baptism. He raised marriage, which had already existed, to the level of a sacrament. So the sacraments are given to us by God. The sacraments are given to us by God. And so therefore they are extremely crucial and important to us. And also, what is the Matrix? Thank you so much. We could call it a love offering if you know the term. Thanks, Odin and community, for the experience. Well, thank you. What is the Matrix? I appreciate your $5 super chat. You are amazing. Thank you so much. And also, again, Modest Matrix, I really do appreciate it. Thank you so much. I'm sorry, I was just in the middle of thought. And so, because they're gifts to us by God, what is the point of a sacrament? The point of a sacrament is so that our love of God can be maintained. Is so that our relationship with God can be maintained. Okay, that's why reconciliation exists. Is so that way, when we push God away, when we, again, make those choices, those active choices to push God away, we can heal that relationship. That's what's so beautiful about the church, is that God gives us so many opportunities and chances to take him and welcome him back into our hearts. God always loves us. That is never going to change. God's love is always going to be there, but he cannot make us do the same for him. And so that's why the sacraments are there, are to bring us into the life of the church through baptism, to sustain that life through the Eucharist and through reconciliation, to confirm that faith through confirmation. And then, of course, all the other sacraments all feed into that life of the church. So the sacraments are vitally important. So if you are a Catholic and if you do not receive the sacraments, I highly recommend spending some time in prayer and hopefully to understand why those sacraments are there in the first place and why it is God himself who engages with us through the sacraments. So hope that helps. Dave Bob says, I'm Christian. My wife is Jewish. We have been married for 40 years, not a biblical reference, and love and respect each other. Exactly, Dave Bob. Exactly. Like, again, as long as we talk to each other, it's great. By Fairy Tale, Voorhees says, I mean fictional. You can argue the author's original intent, but the stories seem more metaphoric and symbolic of a greater life lesson, like the tortoise and the hare. But it's not exactly, because there is, again, that's why the reason I want to make sure that it didn't seem like I was saying those things. I was saying that there is literal truth to the words themselves as they are written, but that does not mean that we take every single word next to each other as it is translated in the English language, because that's also another aspect to it. So that was all I was trying to clear up. Jefferson says, nobody mentioned the Borgias. Oh, God, the Borgias. Yeah, that's a whole other... B. Please says, Frieza versus Jesus, who wins Jesus? Every time Jesus wins. Because really, Frieza, of all the villains, you choose one of the weakest? All right. Let's see if we can catch up here a little bit. Super says, while the Roomba is running, how many times do you shout, Dobby is free? Not many times. We should yell it more, but so many times it gets stuck, and so it says Dobby is about to fall off a cliff, because that's just what it says for some reason when it's like when it's teetering on the edge of something. And it's great, and it's just great because you get the notification on the phone because you can connect it to the Wi-Fi, and so we connect it and we just get all these notifications, and it's just really fantastic. Let's see. Don Hudson said, I'm not religious, but I love open conversation about religion. Yeah, that's awesome, man. That's awesome. Lana says, try the cap backwards. Oh! Now I just look like, I feel like I look like a Hollywood tool. Do I look like a Hollywood tool now? I don't like it as much. Tina says, I had a friend who said her religion was Jedi, and she explained at the time. Oh, man. Oh, boy. Slow this train up, says Brad Noble. Wes Major says, would you say that the Force is referring to God or perhaps the Spirit? Could be either. I really do think it could be either, because also remember, the Spirit is God, because God is Trinity, Father, Son, and Holy Spirit. Think about that. Let's see, Hound 3000 says, Martin Luther was the reason Protestants came to be, isn't it? Yeah, he was the spark that... Now, there are a lot of things that led to the Reformation. Obviously, there were things that were being abused within the church itself. So there were a lot of reasons why Protestantism actually came to be. But Martin Luther was absolutely a key figure in that, for sure. Odin went Lutheran, says Brad Noble. All right. Spiral Out says, what are your thoughts on exorcism, possession, and mentally ill? That's a good question. And also, guys, please slow the chat down a little bit. Y'all have asked a lot of really great questions, but I do want to start to wrap things up because we're having so many great conversations that it's just we're falling so far behind. So please, like, limit it to conversations between each other, or just like listen for a little bit and save it for another chat. Let me see if I can find that chat again. Oh, no. Okay, that was a different one. Where is it? Oh, my God, guys. We're so far behind. All right, where's the question? Oh, yeah. So about possession mentally ill. So a lot of people ask, like, you know, are possessions that happen in the Old Testament, New Testament, are all those just examples of mental illness being healed or actual possession themselves? It's both. If you actually read the scriptures themselves, some of them word it in a certain way where you understand it to actually be mental illness, while others you can understand it to actually be the possession by an evil spirit. So the Catholic Church does believe in it. We still train exorcists to this very day. And so yes, so I do believe that it is correct, but also I believe that there were people who were mentally ill who were also healed at the time, and there were probably people who were mentally ill who were healed who were thought to have been possessed. But I do believe that both are true as far as Scripture is concerned, as it being referenced. Tina says, found out it was Kegger. Okay, thank you. Y'all are great. Dallas says, Mars or Venus? Which do we colonize first? I've heard Venus might be easier. I think Venus might be harder because Venus, you have that toxic cloud around it. So I would probably say Mars, personally. Or one of the moons of Saturn. Is it Saturn? Yeah, I think it's one of the moons of Saturn that actually is more apt to support life. Because Reed says, does Odin think about objects beyond Pluto that may affect our planet ever 20 plus more? That's an interesting question. And I have not. Dave Bob says, no, Odin, for by grace are ye saved through faith, and that not of yourselves, it is the gift of God. The faith is given to you by the grace of God. Yeah, so I'm trying to get what you're trying to say there, Dave Bob. So yeah, again, faith and grace are both gifts from God. Like, there is no question about those things. You know, we cannot have faith without God having given it to us as a gift. You know, obviously, faith is also us accepting that gift itself. Mechanical Warfare says, so God is rickrolling us. I'm never gonna give you up, never gonna let you down, never gonna turn around and desert you. Super says, just to see your reaction, thoughts on King Henry VIII forcing his entire country to abandon the church because he couldn't divorce his wife, even though he was probably the problem. Oh yeah, so King Henry VIII was just a nut job. Like, I think there's really no debate on that point. And yeah, he was not a good person. Okay, I'm done. Yeah, I mean, that's pretty much a simple thing. It's like, no, he's just not a good person. Tina and I are tallying up the cookie totals. Awesome. Again, what is the Matrix? Thank you again for that super chat. You are awesome. And again, if you want a chance to be in the discussion for a prize tonight, if you want an automatic entry, you can super chat, or you can donate on Streamlabs, or if you have a really funny comment. At this point, try and hold off on the comments, though. As is, in my opinion, it is your personal relationship with God that is more important than your relationship with any church. But it is through the church that our relationship with God can be sustained. God established church for a reason, and that was to keep that relationship strong. If we say, I can do it by myself, think about those words for a second. I can do it by myself. That is where there's a lot of problems with it. Super says, wonderful explanation of the sacraments. Thank you. Well, again, I appreciate that. Thank you for the question. Mechanical Warfare says, my last question for you tonight. In your humble opinion, how do you think God would rate Mel Gibson movie The Passion of the Christ? I mean, I can tell you how I love it. I think it's great. I think it's definitely one of the most realistic portrayals of crucifixion that's ever been portrayed on screen. I think that God would understand that there is a lot of very good content in there, but also I don't think God would have an opinion on a film overall. Dave Bob says, people need to know mankind is smart. We built the pyramids and all other historical stuff. Get over alien influence. I agree. I absolutely agree with you there. Ways Major says, we need to get you some herbal lozenges you talk here and at school. Yeah, especially once the school year gets really rocking, that's when it's going to get crazy. Vori says, don't remember the 80s since I was born in the 90s. I experienced nothing before then, so logically, I'll experience nothing when I die. I'll follow up later because it's deeply personal. All right, man. Yeah, I mean, I definitely do think, you know, maybe in another chat, in another open forum, we can go deeper down that path. But just because you did not experience the 80s and can't remember it does not mean that your soul, because remember, our soul has not always existed. It was created. Just like our bodies were created, so too our souls are created as well. And so therefore, it makes sense that we can only remember from the creation forward, not backward, if that makes any sense. Oh my goodness, guys. Y'all need to lay off the chat, guys. Y'all are just getting crazy. Super says, my mom was a Sunday school teacher and she put me in school with her. I was baptized and received communion, but was never confirmed. Yeah, I mean, and that's something that can only be a personal choice. I mean, I'm never going to force anyone to partake in the sacraments, but I do want them to understand how crucial the sacraments are to one's life, not only within the church, but also their relationship with God as well. So, Nickel Noodles, good night, man. Wes Major says, tell Odin to just take what he can get to. So yeah, I'm only in the chat right now. Stuart says, I was a really anxious kid, and so when my mom eventually had to stop teaching, she let me stop going. I've never really had a strong connection with faith, but I definitely respect it. Yeah, and again, I thank you for that respect. And I would definitely say, you know, to anyone, you know, it sounds like you're very thoughtful on these issues, and it sounds like you're very, you care a lot about these issues. So I would say, I think that might be, you know, that might be God reaching out to you. Obviously, I cannot assume those things. That's just my own perception of it. So I would say, you know, maybe take some time, just some quiet time in prayer, just to, you know, see if maybe, maybe that might be what you need. So just a bit of advice. You don't have to take it, but just that I would share it with you. I felt compelled to. Brad Noble was timed out again. I love it. Hyman says, random question, would you rather die by sandworms from Dune or dragons of Middle-earth? Dragons of Middle-earth, because it would be so much more badass. I see we've got some porg conversations. X-Winger, Passion of Christ, love it. Me too. It's such a great film. It really is. I showed that to my kids this year, and they were just amazed by it because they thought to themselves, I never realized just how violent a crucifixion actually was. Kegger says, haven't heard of Matt Damon all night. Well, there you go, man. Adam says, sorry, I was referring to the differences in religion in different churches. I didn't mean not to go to church. Okay, gotcha. Voorhees says, fine, I'll shut up. It's not a problem, Voorhees. It's just that I'm just trying to catch up with everything because that way we can do our giveaway. Voorhees says, don't take that too seriously, though, Odin, but I'll just sit back and listen. Great stream, by the way. Well, thank you, Voorhees. I appreciate it. And I hope I addressed it as best I could. Because Reese says, by the way, sorry I brought up the faith topic. Not a problem. Because Reese, I love talking about it. You know, there might be some people that didn't want to hear about that tonight, but you know what? That's what I do with open forums. That's the reason why I open it up, because there are sometimes questions that people want to ask, that people want to talk about, that they don't get to talk about on a regular basis sometimes. And so that's why I do my open forums. And that's why the next stream I do is going to be a Welcome to Asgard, and that's going to be specifically movies, Star Wars, you know, pop culture, you know, specifically those things, not anything. I'm surprised we didn't get political. I'm sure there's gonna be one stream where we get into political conversations, and that's gonna be a whole other mindset altogether. Don says, recent studies of Venus show the upper atmosphere to be a stable place for a sky city. Venus's surface is the most hell-like, yes, but sky city would be nice. Ooh, we can have a sky city? That's really cool. All right, and I am caught up. All right, so guys, I'm going to be out of the chat for a second. I'm going to go to my Valkyrie in my chat. And as I'm doing this, guys, again, if you want to be considered for the giveaway, it's not too late to give a super chat or a donation. Because, again, it helps the channel, helps me out. It helps my voice, which, I spent a lot of time on talking today. 2 hours, 22 minutes exactly. And also it helps to support future giveaways as well. I feel like you're opening access to... All right. Brad is insane tonight. I kicked him out. I saw you did. That's awesome. All right. So... All right, so I'm taking the chat away for a second. So, Valkyrie, I'm in the chat right now. Can you send me one message with all of the cookies? Because y'all have a lot of back and forth, and I'm having a little trouble figuring it out. So, let me go to random name selector. Random name selector. And also, Valkyrie, don't worry about super chats. I will put those names in myself because I have access to all those names. So just the people I gave out cookies to for their comments. Please. And thank you. All right, so we have, what is Matrix Brad Noble because reasons. Matt Suine, Shen Long, who I don't know if he's still in the chat or not, but I'll still put him in anyway. Let's see, DJ. Mr. Pete has already won, so I'm not going to put him in anyway. Dave Bob. Yeah, he has one coming through. Nickel, who has not won yet, I don't think. And that's it for the Super Chats. So I'll go back to our chat, everybody. All right, Niggle Noodles is gone, so I'm going to take him out. Let's see. I have Daybob. Eric R. has 2. Okay, Eric R. Y'all are fantastic. That's okay. Thank you so much. I appreciate y'all. Mechanical Warfare. This has to be the most boring part of the stream is, oh God, he's trying to read and put in names. Kegger has 2. Because reasons, thanks for the $2 super chat. And you get another entry because of that. I'm glad I caught it in time. Mr. Peabody has already won, so he's not going to be put in, but still keep track of it. X-Winger has how many? Has 1. So Voorhees has already won as well, so he will not be put in. And then I have the Matrix already. Perfect. All right, I'm going back to the chat, so please let me know in the chat. Yeah, I just got that. Thank you so much. All right, so I'm going back in the chat, guys. So, Valkyrie, did I miss anybody? Yes, I got because reasons for another one. We still got 33 people in here already. All right, I think that's everybody. Is that everybody? Yes, I did, Tina. Lando thinks that Brad Noble's going to win tonight. I hope not. I never want Brad to ever win. I'm sad that I made the rule that I give digital cookies to anyone that donates. Chew your gum extra loud. Just for you, man. All right. You good? Perfect. All right, so the winner of the live stream giveaway tonight is Mattuine. Mattuine, are you still in the chat? You have 2 minutes to claim your prize. Mattuine, are you in the chat? Lando says, I got 1,000 credits riding on Brad Noble, baby. Well, he did not win once again. No, Brad, you did not win once again. Congrats, Mattuine. Mattuine, are you still in the chat? 2 minutes to claim your prize, Mattuine. Sounds like he's still here. I demand a retrial, says Lando. Brad Noble says, so rigged. No, it's not. It's totally random. I showed the video of it last time, too. Matsuine has not claimed it yet, so let's see what happens. So it's not over yet. It's not over until Matsuine claims the prize. I have a Matt at my door, says, what is the Matrix? Is too busy on Tatooine. All right, he's got 1 more minute, and then we're re-rolling. We're re-rolling if he does not claim it in a minute. So don't go away quite yet until Matsuine claims the prize. We are all winners because we got to see Odin and the chat of Valkyrie. Sebastian Nocturne, you're awesome, dude. Thank you. I appreciate that. I appreciate that. And I rocked my hat for y'all tonight, too. So Lando is indeed a legend. All right. I think we're down to 30 seconds now. All right, 10, 9, 8, 7, 6. It's Russian bots. 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. All right, so Neil, we're about 25 seconds behind in the chat. All right, so Matt Tueen has lost his chance at winning. But still, thank you for the super chat nonetheless, Matt Tueen. And all right, so the winner. The new winner. Oh, Odin Zane is better. Winner, winner, chicken dinners. All right, because reasons. You're back in it. So that's now 3. Thank you for the $2 super chat. Oh, man, I hope you get it. I always feel bad when people put in multiple chats and even then still don't get a chance at it. All right. No, Mattuine has lost it. It's done for Mattuine. All right, so it is a retrial. The retrial is happening, and I just got because reasons, so he's now in 3 times. All right, so the new winner of the live stream tonight, I have a fever. You're right. Is going to be Eric R. Congrats, Eric R. Eric R., are you still in the chat? Is Eric R. still in the chat? Roman sucks as kegger. Damn right, Roman sucks. I hate Roman. Eric R., are you still in the chat? R. Eric R. Is Eric R. still in the chat, though? Eric, speak up. Oh, boy. Do we have another one? Do we have another one that's not going to claim it? Are you still here? Eric Rajala, are you still here, man? Oh, man, we could have another retrial. Don't worry, guys. Like, even though they're not here, their cookies are still good for the big giveaway. So that it's not, and that is going to be whoever wins the big one is going to be whether they're here or not. So I don't see him. Okay, yeah. Let me double check. He's showing up in the chat, so I don't know what that means. All right, 1 minute. 1 minute, and then we will do another retrial. This is fun. I feel bad for him. Let's see. Because Risa says, I don't need to put a bikini on, do I? No, not at all. It's purely random. Again, I put the names into the selector, and then it's so completely random, man. I don't understand the mindset behind it. I'm going to say Eric has not. 30 seconds. I love you guys so much. Yeah, because reasons. Yeah. Again, don't worry about it. It's just purely. Nobody knows the trouble R has seen. All right, and that's done. All right, so he has lost his chance, and he had like 2 entries. All right. So as I delete his name, if anyone wants to super chat to get into this mess. Oh my goodness gracious. All right. So, the winner. The real winner. The intensity is palpable. Yes, indeed. All right, so the real winner. Maybe of tonight's giveaway is because reasons you have won, and just because I know that Brad Noble is gonna cause a fit. Boom, right there. Oh, I can't show the split screen. Boom, because reasons. So Brad, it's not cheating. It is a system, and it works. And so congratulations. And I think because reasons is still in the chat. I hope so. Because reasons, are you still in the chat? Do you claim your prize? He bows. Arigato. Congrats, reasons. Yes. Congrats. Because please be here. It wasn't. I showed the screen. The computer is a Russian bot, says Lando. I know, right? It only took 3 tries, and he put in 3 super chats to make his chances better. No more recounts. That was the 3rd trial. Alexander says, are you finishing? What do you find boring in Game of Thrones? Not much. Not much. I love Game of Thrones. I think it's great. All right, so because reasons, you have to contact me via Twitter or email address. My Valkyrie will put my email address very quickly into the stream. And so just email me, and then I'll go back and forth with you about your options. And then we'll talk about what gift you're going to have. The Hanging Chad says Dave Bob. That's awesome, man. I love this chat. Y'all are great. I guess my cookie was not strong enough. Yeah, I mean, I wish I understood the algorithm behind it to try and improve everyone's chances, but yeah, it's just... All right, guys, so let's start to wrap things up. So, Valkyrie, stop copying me, says Stephanie. I'm a fan, bro. I don't need no prize. Well, you just won one, man, because I'm not doing another retrial. You have to take it. Be pleased. Have a good one. Yes, thank you. Voorhees says, thank you for not giving me a timer when I won because I had to do something on set at the time. Was so worried I was going to miss it. Well, Voorhees, we knew that you were in the chat that night. So we did do a timer, but luckily you were there, so it was not a big thing. Order has been maintained. Brad will not win today. Exactly. Chaos will ensue. Ragnarok will be upon us the day that Brad wins one of these things. And yes, thank you, Tina, for shouting that out. McKenna Warfare says, it's cool, man. It just doesn't have enough SJW tiers. Yes, you need to collect more SJW tiers in order to win to win my prizes. What a buggy, fun... It was buggy for you? I'm sorry to hear that. If you or maybe you just meant the people not being here. Yeah, tonight was a lot of fun. Tonight was a lot of fun. I love open forums. Most open forums usually are just our Welcome to Asgard. So we talk about Star Wars and movies, which are fine. So that's why I love when we go off on these tangents, because there's only one night of the week that we can really do that. Justice for Brad, says Landa. All right, guys, so let's start saying goodbye. I want to say goodnight to everyone. Dave Bob, good night to you. God bless you, sir. Another great show. Says Sebastian, you and the ladies are awesome. Have a wonderful night, one. Thank you, Sebastian. You have a great night, too. Thank you so much for watching. I'll ride a death pony, says Brad. Oh, thank you, Tina. All right, so before I end the stream, though, I am going to have to shout out my Patreons. So again, if you would like to become a patron and get your name shouted out every single live stream, please consider clicking that link and joining. I would appreciate it. All right, let's see. Of course, it's going to take forever for this page to pop up, because it always does. Come on, patron, get your crap together, man. I need to just write these things down so that way I don't have to worry about these things loading. I'm sorry, guys. I know it's getting a little boring. I need to wait for these things to pop up. Because reasons, just got your email, man. All right, I'm going to read that as soon as I get off. But first off, again, I do want to give a huge shout out to my patrons. So huge shout out to Castellan Fry, Dave Bob, Enrique Evangelista, Jeffrey Toon, Slide Jones. Go check out his channel. New channel, new video up today. First video. Go give him some support. The DJ D Show, those two ball guys, and of course our lovely Valkyrie Tina. Y'all are fantastic. So good night, everyone. Good night, Jedi Starship. Brad Noah says Odin's hat sucks. Screw you, Brad. Get out of here. Hypern night fun chat. Alexander, Janie Lannister, Arya Stark for life. Damn you, Alexander. Damn you, Salazar. Mechanical Warfare. Worst case scenario, Brad wins the grand prize. Good God. If he wins the grand prize, Ragnarok is going to for sure ensue. Voorhees, goodbye. Good night. Hypern. Let's see. Good night. Digital hugs, indeed. Good night, Donald Hudson. Hound 3000. Good night. Good night, Tina. Good night, Lando. Good night, Jedi Starship. Because reasons. Hat is awesome. F back. Thank you, because reasons. Tina is always. Actually, no. Tina and Steph are equally amazing. I bet it first, says Voorhees. Good night, Mr. Peabody. 1111. Indeed, 1111. Make a wish. Good night, X-Winger. Always great to have you here, man. All the 27 people still watching. Y'all are fantastic. Lando says, Brad wins next time, baby. We'll see about that. God bless, X-Winger. Good night, chat. Good night, Kegger. All right, guys, so I'm going to stay in the chat for a little bit. I'm going to have my end screen on, so thank y'all so much for watching. Y'all are amazing. Every single person that donated tonight, who gave into the Super Chats, thank you so much. It really does help the channel out a lot. It helps me continue to be able to do this, to be able to give, I don't think a lot of time, and I'm not trying to, I'm not trying to put on an act here. I really do think that a lot of times people don't understand, like, how much time we put into this. I've been on for 2.5 hours, 2 hours 40 minutes, and it takes time to do the videos. So to have anyone just donate something it just means so much to me, and it just makes it even more awesome to come in. Because reasons. Thank you for the $2 super chat, man. Thank you, guys. Y'all are amazing. I love y'all so much. Y'all are fantastic. And again, I wouldn't be nothing without you guys, without the chat, without the people donating. Y'all are fantastic. I love every single one of you guys. So please join us again very, very soon. We will be having a trivia night very soon. So that is when there will be a lot of digital cookies given out for people who give correct answers. Tina has done a great job of putting things. Odin, we watch. You're cool. Well, thank you, Brad. I appreciate that, man. And yeah, so get ready for that. It's going to be a lot of fun. So have a great night as always. And God bless. Y'all are fantastic, and I love every single one of y'all. Have a good one, and God bless. Seriously.